to pull off 2 wins in the Big 12 tournament. The Cougs stifled West Virginia with tough defense and second-chance points. Dominic Diamande scored an impressive 2 points off one of BYU's 9 takeaways.
Another step-in steal by Dominique. He's got run! And windmill!
That was a great shot. The call here heard right here on KSL News Radio. The Cougs are now just 2 wins from reaching the tournament championship game, but tonight they'll have to get through second seed Houston if they want to advance. Tip-off is at 5 and pregame coverage starts at 4 right here on KSL News Radio. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Law enforcement in the West was recently warned that Iran wants to retaliate for American attacks by launching offensive drones against California. More from ABC's Aaron Katersky.
The FBI recently alerted California police departments Iran aspires to conduct a surprise attack against unspecified targets in California using drones. The alert, reviewed by ABC News, says the drones would come from an unidentified vessel off the coast of the United States homeland.
Law enforcement officials say there are no imminent threats. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 595 points at this hour. That's 1.25%. We're at 46,821. Coming up, sunshine today, a little warmer than yesterday. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
It's time for March Window Mania. From Advanced Window Products, bounce on over to your phone and they'll give you $2,500 off your quote on 10 windows or more. Get the Home Court Advantage. They'll build your windows right here in Salt Lake City, custom for Utah's climate, and you save because they sell direct to the public. No middleman. It's a new season. Spring is here, and when it comes to state-of-the-art custom windows and insulated frames, Advanced Windows is top-seeded, so put them at the top of your bracket and make the call 801-850-9100. You'll get $2,500 off from the family-owned champion since 1986. For 40 years, they've been building and installing replacement windows. Don't wait for the draft to come seeping through your old windows. They'll save you a ton of money on your energy bill, and Advanced offers financing as low as $150 a month. It's the March Window Mania special. Quick, before the buzzer, make the call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or visit advancedwindows.com.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jewelers specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design. Every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. And here's Cameron Elliott.
On I-15, things are coming down from a lighter than usual morning rush hour, but we're still seeing some slowing northbound as you pass through the South Interchange. In Utah County, east and westbound 2100 North are seeing some heavy delays between I-15 and the Mountain View corridor. Homeowners, Gillette Service is putting $1,000 in your pocket with a rebate on new installations, and you pay nothing until 2027. Call 385-GET-HEAT for your free estimate. Comfort now, pay later. I'm Cameron Elliott in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny today with highs in the upper 60s. A few more clouds tomorrow. Again, about 69 for a high tomorrow, 65 on Saturday. Right now, it's 43 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, I am in studio with Rusty Cannon, the president and CEO of Utah Credit Union Association, as my guest host today. And look, Rusty, if you're hoping to snag tickets to the Winter Olympics in 2034, which feels like
tomorrow,
right around the corner, really.
Right.
But there's not going to be any sales tax on those Olympic tickets.
Yes, there was a bill this session by Representative Hawkins that we're going to talk about that will deal with this issue specifically. So, to be straightforward, it says no sales tax on Olympic tickets.
Yeah.
The conversation that I wanted to have is most people realize that sales tax is attached to most things, but the question is, what does it fund?
Yeah, exactly.
Sales tax funds most local government services. Now, there's a combination of property tax and sales tax, but sales tax is a big part of local government funding. So roads, law enforcement, basically any local government function, they heavily rely on sales tax, and that's why there's a lot of times, I almost call it a competition for localities to recruit retail business, things that generate a lot of sales tax, whether it's a car dealership or a store or anything like that, because that revenue provides for a lot of those government services that local governments want to provide. Now, nobody wants to pay more taxes. However, everybody, I think, realizes, hey, well, we need basic services. I like no potholes in my roads.
Right.
I like police being there. Fire being on call.
And even with the Olympics, right? I mean, I think everybody recognizes that we're going to have an impact on roads and an increased need for security, et cetera. So when this bill came up during the legislative session, I was interested in it because I honestly don't usually see them doing something like this. Certainly there's lots of conversations about taxes and how to keep them low for the people in the state of Utah, but I was surprised. So I actually listened to the committee hearing, and what I heard Representative Hawkins say, who's my representative, by the way, what I heard him say is that the organizing committee is the one in charge of selling tickets, and they're a 501c3.
Yeah.
That they're a nonprofit organization, and so they can't take tax revenue.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to me.
Yeah, and so there's also the compliance part of it where you need to collect it and remit it and do it all correctly. He's exactly right. The question is, if that revenue is not going to come in to local coffers, at least for those items, right? In this case, we're talking about tickets to the events. Do you have to make that up? And I think that was part of the debate is, okay, if it's going to be a shortfall, I saw estimates, I think it was somewhere between 50 to 80 million, maybe somewhere in that ballpark. There's a lot of money spent during the Olympics with those tickets. So it's a good amount of money that would be lost to those local governments. Now, you might have some that say, amen. Less money in government hands, but you need to balance that with, listen, they're going to have to keep the roads, safe and well and maintained and law enforcement and all of that. So the question then is, okay, who's going to make up that revenue? And I think they've talked a little about that.
Well, so we are, right?
Yes,
I mean, consumers are going to make it up. But how are they going to do that?
So my understanding is then, well, they punted that question. That'll be figured out later where maybe it's some tie-in with Olympic funding and those. I think there'll be so much, this sounds strange to hear, but there'll be a lot of money floating back and forth with these Olympics. And the question is, okay, can you plug that hole with another revenue source or from another bucket to make local governments whole for what they'd lose by not having this? Because most prices, if people are wondering, prices for tickets in Italy that just haven't started at about $36 for the average ticket.
That is low to me, actually.
It seems very low.
I thought it would be significantly higher, to be honest.
Yeah, so did I. They said that more than half of the tickets cost less than $119. The most expensive seats were for the closing ceremony. Those were around $3,500.
That's a lot.
And then as things ramped into the men's hockey game, I think this may be secondary sales for that were somewhere between $500 and about $1,600. I can see why. That was probably a very, very hot ticket to get.
Yeah. I was surprised. So did you go to any of the Olympic events in 2002?
I did. I loved it. So I was a volunteer, actually.
Oh, so you did.
Yes.
You
I was
didn't
a
have to
volunteer.
pay to get in, right?
Well, so
or did you?
They gave us tickets to one of the night. I got 2 tickets to one of the night concerts, and I here just across the street from where we were, if I remember right, or where we are. Dave Matthews played.
Oh wow!
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was freezing cold. I remember, but it was really good. But I was a volunteer on the men's downhill at Snow Basin.
Oh wow!
Course crew. It was a blast. And so we had a section of the course that we had to maintain, fencing, and then so when they do their practice runs, they would kind of push snow around, but they wanted icy and nothing on there, right?
Wow.
So we would take shovels after their practice runs and clear all the fluff snow off to just get it, just ice. As fast as possible.
Ice, baby.
Yeah, and you would have to wear crampons in some spots if it was steep just to stand there. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we'd get out under, get behind the fence, patch up the fence, and then watch the skiers go by. I never had a wreck in front of us, so we never had to repair a fence. But it was phenomenal. That was a long explanation to your answer to your question. But so I was a volunteer. I did get those 2 tickets, but I didn't have to go purchase any tickets because I was busy doing the
the volunteering stuff. Yeah, interesting. So it's interesting how they're going to make this up, and like you said, it's still open for discussion. But I know part of the discussion has been: are we going to add extra fees? Is it going to come, in a different way? And it was interesting also that there were a couple of legislators, not surprising, I suppose, that indicated that they wanted to make sure that somehow the state didn't get stiffed, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to, they didn't use those exact words, but if we're rolling out the red carpet for the world, we also don't want to be thrown under the bus, right?
Yeah.
Because we can't collect money to meet, I guess, the cost of the Olympics. And I understand that there are a number of Olympics who lose money. The host city loses money.
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't have any specifics, but I do remember, and maybe summer and winter both, but there have been times where they have taken an absolute financial bath. If I remember correctly, the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City were very, very successful financially.
And I think they were like the first. It was like wow, this is really interesting. They didn't lose a ton of money.
Yeah. If you remember, Mitt Romney was helping run it.
I know, yeah.
And I remember a lot of the news reports after that about how successful it was. I think there were some factors. There was some really good merchandise trending. I just remember stuff that was it the berets? There were some berets that were really popular.
Oh, yeah,
and
very
then
popular.
just these odd items you wouldn't think, and the merchandise was so I think revenues were quite good. The heavy volunteer presence,
exactly.
helped us keep costs low. So they can be successful, but many have been a financial bloodbath for who hosted it.
So it's interesting. We spoke briefly about security, but the federal government will pick up most of the tab for security, and they're in charge. But local organizers are still going to pay state and local governments for police officers directing traffic, maybe at venues, snow removal, those types of things. And we're still, like Brad Wilson is saying, they won't even be negotiated until a year or two before the game. So we're still a long ways out.
Yeah, what year are we in? It's 2026, right?
I
We got
know.
8 years. That seems far, but I think it'll come very fast because when these Olympics were ending, it was interesting. They started talking about, and I already forgot where the 2030 are, Winter
I think
Olympics.
They're France.
Is that where it is? I think you might be.
so.
I know. I can't quite remember, but the point being, it was just the Olympics. After that, they'll be talking about Salt Lake City or
I know.
Utah, whatever we're supposed to call it.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, the Utah Olympics.
I think they're going with that.
Yeah,
now.
French Alps 2030.
Okay.
Yeah, 2030. So there's one more Winter Olympics, and we talked with Fraser Bullock on this show about the logo specifically. It doesn't have anything to do with sales tax because people don't love the logo, and he's like, we'll have the official one after the next Winter Olympics conclude.
Yeah, I remember the comment the governor made recently is like, well, it's unified us because apparently
we all
everybody
hate
hates
it.
Yeah. And I was in the airport the other day and I walked by it again, and I will agree. Not my favorite logo.
It's interesting.
Yes. Interesting is a kind word.
All right. So we have a new report, and we've been talking about this since we first saw the story break about missiles hitting an Iranian school. So we have a new report showing that, yes, that was the U.S., but maybe it came because we had outdated intelligence. We're going to talk about that after the break.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror, I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or back problems, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we help Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. I could do my job and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's gonna be. It's gonna be positive.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
Attention Jazz Nation, the long wait is finally over. Mountain basketball is back and better than ever. Let's go! All tickets are on sale now, and you won't want to miss the action. Jump on the opportunity to watch your favorite players live and in person. Whether you're after season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, the Utah Jazz has got your back. There's a plan for every fan. Don't miss out. Secure your seats today and be part of the excitement all season long. Let's go! Visit UtahJazz.com today.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know, from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now, that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs. Whether it's music or anything else, I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And expanded Inside Sources.
So, Rusty, when the first news stories came out about the U.S. and Israel sending missiles into Iran, one of the early stories were that a school had been hit, and that it was a lot of young students, mostly girls, and that there's like 175 people who've died. So there immediately became questions about, well, where did that come from? How did that school get hit? And we now understand that it was a Tomahawk missile, which the United States has exclusively, I think, and that maybe this was a mistake. What have you heard about that? We're going to get more.
Yeah, I think we'll get a little bit more here in a bit from ABC, but that's what I've heard, is that this could be a very, very tragic mistake. And as information comes out, the standard response is always the investigation is ongoing. And I think that's the situation we're in. But I think a bit more detail has come out, and I think that's what we're going to hear about.
Yeah, so we're going to listen to ABC's Ann Flattery. She was on the Start Here podcast this morning.
So this was in the very first day of the bombing, when the U.S. and Israel began striking targets in Iran. They say they're going after ballistic missile launchers, they're going after IRGC compounds, and they seem to be striking close to several hundred targets in a single day. The next day, we learn one of the buildings that's been hit on the ground is an all-girls elementary school. Iranians said that at least 165 people were killed. So, immediately questions were raised about who was responsible for this, because it was very clear that if the United States or Israel were involved, this could be one of the largest incidents of civilian casualties in war in recent memory. Iran, of course, immediately blames the United States.
All I can say is that we're investigating that.
The U.S. military began saying they're investigating it. They're looking at the incident.
We, of course, never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that.
And then some of the details start to come out. One of those details comes from Israel.
Are you investigating what happened there? What went wrong?
Well, a few things that are important to know.
Our Ian Panel in Israel interviews a spokesman for the IDF who says, we were not operating in that area at the time. That's all we can tell you.
So far, we have found no connection to any IDF activity. No IDF activity in that area at all, but we're looking into it. I know our American counterparts are looking into it. This is not something that we target.
Then ABC News learned, sources told us, it was indeed the U.S. that was working targets in that area. They were striking targets on that very first day. Sources told us it was very possible that American forces were responsible for that attack because there was nobody else working in that area.
To which President Trump's first reaction seemed to be, wasn't us.
Yes. And then, of course, we heard from President Trump, who floated the theory that it could have been the Iranians.
Based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hickson? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Earlier this week, President Trump was asked point blank, you're the only one in your government suggesting that Iran bombed itself.
Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation.
And that he says he will stand by the results of the investigation. Experts in satellite imagery were looking at the strikes and saying, that wasn't a blast coming from the ground. That was an aerial strike. And we also had imagery that it was a Tomahawk missile.
The Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries, that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more.
So just to take a step back, Tomahawk missiles are only made by the U.S. Wow. Israel does not use them.
Like Iran doesn't have Tomahawks, you're saying, to use?
Certainly not. The U.S. would never sell Tomahawks to Iran.
Right.
And, they do sell them to the U.K. and Australia, for example, but they haven't been striking targets in Iran. But again, U.S. officials refusing to take any responsibility for it, saying that a very comprehensive investigation needed to be underway. They would brief the president on the results of this investigation.
Yeah, I mean, what would an investigation even look like? Or what would you be looking for, Anne, if you're the military?
Well, I think one of the questions is, did the missile misfire? Did the technology fail? Was the intelligence bad? Who provided the intelligence that possibly provided a wrong target? And then yesterday, the New York Times reported that preliminary findings were showing that the strike was the result of a targeting mistake by the U.S. military, because officers at U.S. Central Command had created the target coordinates for the strike, but they were using outdated data provided by the Defense Intelligence Agency. Now, the DIA is the agency that they do a lot of satellite analysis, and they would be the ones that would be providing that information to CENTCOM to say, we believe that this is a target. Now, ABC News has not confirmed this reporting. We only know that U.S. officials do believe that it's very possible that it was America's mistake in this strike, but that they say, again, the investigation is ongoing.
Well, Holly, that sounds like they've got some more investigation to do, but certainly some explaining. I don't know where the president's coming from at that point of saying, listen, this could have been someone else. This clearly likely is us. And if it was a targeting mistake, we need to admit it. The question is, how in the world would something like this happen?
Right, and that's my question is several of the news organizations are reporting that the information that said it was maybe a previous military target is at least a decade old, and that if you've got basically Google Maps, right, you can see that there's a big fence, it's brightly painted, it's clearly a school. This is not some kind of a naval base or secret hideout or anything like that, right? So it's just terribly sad to me, and I always think that civilians pay a high price if their country is at war, and Iran is bearing a high price right now.
Well,
I wanted to go ahead. I wanted to say that the Iranian supreme leader, the new leader, released a statement today. I will note that this is a written statement. Nobody has seen or heard from him. But one of the things that he said is that not only will the Strait of Hormuz stay closed, but that all martyrs will be avenged, and he includes those children at that school.
Yeah, so the Tomahawk missile uses imagery. Well, it uses GPS satellite to target, but it also uses imagery when it flies. If you've seen the way these fly, it's nap of the earth.
I have not.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen it in person, but I've seen it, video where it's very close to the ground and it sort of hugs the earth.
Mm-hmm.
It uses 3D mapping to do that, and then it uses GPS coordinates to actually hit the target. There are times when there are errors, but it's apparently a very low error rate. And if it is, and we're totally guessing here, but if it was something where it's a targeting mistake, then it gets to the question of, okay, if you're using static intelligence, meaning static photos, you're not seeing, children running out of the building. You're just seeing a building. You've never been watching that building per se.
Right.
Maybe they have, maybe they didn't, and it appears to be in a compound that is, to your best knowledge, an IRGC compound, and you are going to strike IRGC compounds, then you're going to take out the building. The question is, should they have done, a greater, more homework on making sure that that is actually what it is? It'll take some time to investigate this, but if it is an error like this, it is tragic, as you say, and one of the tragedies of war that are unfortunately unavoidable, but that doesn't excuse how tragic it is.
So one of the things that is interesting about this is Israel now has said, at least to the Washington Post, we didn't do that. That wasn't us, right? That they're backing away from any kind of responsibility. And one of the things that they told the Washington Post was that they were not consulted ahead of time on whether this was a valid target or not, right? Yeah. So to your point, right, if you think this is an arms depot and your building intelligence is a decade old, it would seem to me that it would be important to make sure your information was correct and up to date.
Well, and this gives us a window on how difficult of a job it must be to build a target list, right? You've got to triple check, quadruple check, 10 times check to make sure. I can't imagine how tragic that would be if someone were to finally find out that they were, responsible for making a mistake like this. They probably go through all kinds of things to make sure their targets are valid. But as you say, if it turns out that this was old intelligence that was used and inaccurate, that's something that we're going to have to reckon with.
Yeah, so that's our update for Iran today. When we come back, we're going to just talk a little bit about the no votes on Utah's Capitol Hill. There's one GOP lawmaker who cast the most no votes in 20 plus years, more than 50%. And we're going to talk a little bit more about her reasoning when we come back after this break.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, there will not be a tax on tickets to the Utah 2034 Olympics. Lawmakers say the over $80 million of tax revenue will have to come through another way. The decision to remove taxes from tickets was made this legislative session in a bill sponsored by Representative John Hawkins. The taxes would have been used by the Olympic Committee to pay back cities and counties for services they provide during the Games. But Hawkins says they still expect to make back that revenue.
They'll get it through a commensurate fee on the sales of the ticket, but it just won't. Okay. It'll skip the process of going to the tax commission and then coming back to the cities.
In an interview with the Deseret News, he says it has yet to be decided how those fees will work. A Winter Paralympic gold medalist has ties right here in Utah. Team USA cross-country skier Sydney Peterson just captured gold at the Winter Paralympics. And when she's not competing on the world stage, she is studying in Salt Lake City. Peterson is currently pursuing her doctorate in neuroscience at the University of Utah. She competes with a neurological movement disorder that affects movement in her left arm and leg. Now she is adding Paralympic gold to her growing list of accomplishments. Our top national story this hour, Iran attacking vessels near Iraq and the Strait of Hormuz. The developments rattling global energy markets.
As the US and Israel step up their strikes against Iran, the regime there retaliating, warning that, quotes, any vessel whose cargo or oil shipment is destined for the US, the Zionist regime as they call it, or hostile partners is going to be considered a legitimate target, telling the world to prepare for, quotes, oil to reach $200 a barrel. ABC
News chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is now down 655 points. That's 1.4%. We're at 46,761. Coming up, we've got sunshine today and mild temperatures. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. You know I love to talk about shopping at NPS, a nice place to save. And it's fun to talk about all the treasures and the unique things that are out there in the store, but I want to focus on the groceries. When we take our grandkids in there, we love to go into the grocery section because they see candies and fun items and treats that honestly, some of them they've never seen before. But for those of us who are concerned about the inflation right now and the cost of feeding our families, NPS, boy, they can really save you money. As you know, throughout the store, 20 to 70% off everything every single day. But boy, they have additional savings that are almost unbelievable. So whether you're shopping for the absolute basics or you're looking for fun things for the grandkids or something for an upcoming party, NPS can really save you money. There are 4 locations, the 2 stores in Salt Lake, 1 in Layton, 1 in Orem. That's NPS.
This weekly tax tip is brought to you by the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants. Here's CEO Susan Spears.
Did you buy a new car in 2025? There's a new tax break that could save you money when you file your federal taxes this year. Under the new law, you may be able to deduct up to $10,000 of interest. To qualify, the vehicle must be new, purchased in calendar year 2025, and have final assembly in the United States. Used vehicles do not qualify. This deduction applies to personal vehicles only. And it's not just sedans, minivans, SUVs, trucks, and even motorcycles, as long as they have a GVW rating under 14,000 pounds. You can claim this deduction even if you take the standard deduction, although there are income limits.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a licensed CPA. Visit uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. And check out new tax tip videos by following on social media at Talk to Your CPA.
You know how they always used to ask you in grade school, what do you want to be when you grow up? I bet I'm the only kid who ever stood proud and said, I want to be a rain gutter or siding installer. Jim Jr. here with RGS Exteriors, and man, I can still remember all those wannabe astronauts and quarterbacks looking at me like I was an idiot. Who would want to install rain gutters or siding? Somebody who was a fourth generation in business. That's who. My great-grandfather, T.R. Brown, started the company in the 50s. Then my grandfather took over from him, then my dad, Tim Sr., and now I've been at the helm since 2005. Every day I wake up and think, man, I'm living the dream. And now my own kids are starting to work in the business too. 5 generations. If you want gutters, siding, windows, or any exteriors on your home, and a company that really cares deep down to our souls, give RGS a call. 801-280-3110 or find us online, rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com. 801-280-3110, rgsutah.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Direct deposit gets you $300. Love where you bank. And here's Cameron Elliott.
I-15 is seeing some mid-morning congestion as we see slowing in Davis County, headed southbound, reaching from 200 north to the I-84 interchange. In Salt Lake County, we also have some congestion as you go northbound, coming through the south interchange. In Utah County, we're seeing some slow spots eastbound Corey Ride Highway as you approach 800 west. Two Brothers Mattress. Come in and feel the Tempur-Pedic difference in all of our 5 locally owned stores. Visit twobrothersmattress.com. I'm Cameron Elliott in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be sunny with a high of 67, 69 tomorrow, 65 on Saturday. A cold front moves in on Saturday night that might bring some rain, and Sunday's high will only be 50. Right now it's 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Today it's Holly Richardson and Rusty Cannon. And Rusty, the Utah legislative session for 2026 ended last Friday, but we're still talking about it.
We still are. Still plenty
There's
to talk
still
about.
stuff coming out, right? Exactly. And, you know, one of the things that is interesting to me is most of the bills pass by wide margins, many of them unanimously. But this year, there was one lawmaker who voted no on the House floor more than 50% of the time.
Yes. Representative Leah Hansen cast 446 no votes during the recent legislative session. Now, we'll get into detail on this. First, I do want to say, I know Representative Leah Hansen. She is a very genuine and very sincere individual, and I have really I've enjoyed getting to know her. And so as we explain this, and this will come out as we talk about it, I understand where she's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, when they hear kind of her principles and what she's doing, might understand,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I get where she's coming. Because it's easy once you hear the headline I just read to think somebody's there, they got their feet on the desk, their thumbs on the no button, and they just keep pushing it just because they just feel like it. Like, that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was the case anyway. So, look, what's interesting is it's the most no votes cast by a single Utah lawmaker in at least 20 years. And the reason we know that is because there's a political science professor at Brigham Young University who's been tracking data for 20 years with the Utah legislature. And one of the things that he tracks are the number of no votes. So what's interesting to me is the discussion about why did Representative Hansen do this. And we did invite her to join us, and she's not able to, but she sent KSL a statement, and she has some principles behind why she's voting no.
Yeah, she had 3 of them, and we'll outline them. The first one, she asked, what is the underlying principle of the bill? Is it fear, control, compassion, transparency, order, etc.? So that's the first question, is kind of what is the underlying principle of the bill? And yeah, there are bills that are driven by fear and control and compassion. I mean, those are very, very good principles, and that's the first question she asks when she reads the bills. The second one is the principle or bill, the proper role of government to do. An example, is it the proper role of government to be controlling or compassionate? And so she asked that question of, what is the role of government here?
Right.
And the third one, and then she's also got some additional points we'll make, but the third principle, will this bill continue to perpetuate liberty for generations to come? So those are the 3 that she's using as sort of the basis of what she was going through.
Yeah. So one of the things when KSL did their story before she had submitted her statement to us, is Bridger Beal Svetko had asked me, why do you think a person would vote no so often? And I actually, without having talked to Representative Hansen, did suspect that she was coming from a position of less government is better, right? That limited government really means limited. And that I wondered if she felt like she hadn't had an opportunity to read a bill. And that is one of the things that came up, is that she said she just simply did not have time to read a bill. And I don't remember. I think there was a federal legislator who said, if I can't read the bill, I'm going to vote no. Now I can't remember who that was.
I can't either. I think many have said that type of thing before.
Right, right. And the reality is they don't read the bills. And both federally and locally, they can't read them all, especially so on the federal level, you get a bill that's 20,000 pages and you have 11 hours. I mean, nobody's going to read that bill, right? It's physically impossible to read the bill.
Well, and a lot of these state bills are 20 to 30 pages sometimes, but the typeset is defined in a way where it's easy to get a 20-page bill pretty quickly,
right, sure.
Because of thin columns and all that. However, the way that it works as you look at legislation is that there's the language that's currently in statute, and if you're striking it, any language, then it's got a line through it. And if you're adding language, it's got a line underneath it. It's underlined. So there may be a 20-page bill, but maybe that strike-through language is literally one sentence.
Right.
So you could get a gist of the bill by looking at that stricken language, but maybe you need a lot of those 20 pages to get the context of what the striking means. But oftentimes you don't. Sometimes it's just a number or those kinds of things. However, you can make a case where it's probably smart, just like you should read every contract you sign before you sign. I'm
you
sure
should.
We all do that, of course,
Yeah, sure.
right before we DocuSign something. But that's her point, is that she just felt like she couldn't vote for a bill that she hadn't read. She also told her constituents that bills that gave rulemaking authority to unelected entities were red flags for her, and she'd vote no on them. And then she mentioned not being able to read a bill and didn't feel comfortable voting if she hadn't done that. So that rulemaking authority to unelected entities, that's an interesting question. I don't disagree with her there. The question is, is a no vote on a bill going to change that paradigm? But her principle, I think, is sound.
That is an interesting question, though, because there are a lot of rulemaking entities in the state of Utah. I mean, I would just say, look at the Department of Occupational and Professional Licensing.
Yeah.
They're the ones who make the rules. It's not the legislature that
Correct.
makes the rules. The legislature can do specific things to say the rules will include such and such, right? And you can't allow XYZ, but you can allow, ABC. But DOPL is the one that makes the rules, and the professional boards, et cetera. So they're not elected.
Yeah.
They're appointed. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are volunteers. The people who are on the committees and stuff, they're volunteers.
Yeah,
so,
she's not wrong on that principle. The question is, as you're mentioning,
it's just interesting.
Yeah, the way kind of the cookie crumbles as rulemaking is done and all that, is that something that you can really change? Maybe over time.
I would say it's different here in the state than it is on the federal level. So certainly on the federal level, I would say that the Congress has basically turfed all of their duties, either to the executive branch or to rulemaking, right? I mean, and they just do the like when you pass, just think about the healthcare bill, Obamacare, right? The ACA. It was a very huge bill, really long, lots of stuff not related to healthcare tucked in it. And then they basically said, okay, now go create rules without as many guidelines. Here in Utah, we are really good most of the time at passing single issue bills and then saying, okay, here are the parameters, and now we need rules around these. Yeah. But I'll say this, too. This is from Adam Brown as well. We talked before the session ended, we were talking about how many bills they were going to pass the last day and the last week of the session. Mm-hmm. And going into Friday, the last day of the session, I said they're going to pass more than 150 bills today. They did. It was 164 bills in a single day, right? And the last week of the session, 344 bills out of the total of 540 for the entire session. 344 were passed the last week and 164 on the very last day. No one can read all those bills.
Well, not only that, on the last day especially, but throughout the whole session, you'll have substitutes. As you know, this is a former lawmaker.
Oh, yeah.
A substitute comes up, an amendment comes up, and you're relying on that sponsor, or at least who's speaking, to clearly and credibly explain what is being changed.
Yeah.
They don't always get that right.
And
they do their best.
I will just say sometimes there are explanations that give you some of what the bill does, but maybe they don't give you all of what the bill does.
Yeah, there is some strategy in that. And so I think to Representative Hansen's point, that even is a further red flag, or can be, of a last-minute amendment.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're very justified, very needed, and well explained. Other times it's they use the phrase we chuckle a lot when we're up there. This is this is some technical
simple
changes.
bill?
Yeah, it's some technical changes. Does that conclude your summary? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then
then we
it's
vote.
not.
It's like so that type of thing can happen.
Yeah.
And so it gets a little crazy.
So we're going to stay on Utah's Capitol Hill, and actually, instead of talking about what did pass, we're going to have a conversation about what didn't pass this year, and that's a good conversation too. So stay with us over this break.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word INBOX to 57500. That's INBOX to 57500.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
What if Jurassic Park really existed? Well, you would need a reliable mobile connection to keep you online at the park. With Xfinity Mobile, you have Wi-Fi where you need it and 5G everywhere else. Whether you're live streaming a T-Rex feeding or downloading park maps when you're lost in the Gallimimus Run, you can stay connected with Raptor fast speeds. Xfinity Mobile is there for you at home and at the park because it was born ready for you to roam. Xfinity. Imagine that. And now you can cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines unlimited. Learn more at xfinitymobile.com. That's xfinitymobile.com and watch Jurassic Park. with Xfinity. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of 2/10/26. Taxes, fees extra.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
You know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
Yeah, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, anything, you need to tell an adult, someone you know and trust. That can be hard, but speaking up about a problem is what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
We talk a lot about what the legislature did do, how it impacted our pocketbooks, how it impacts our potholes, Rusty. But sometimes it's important to talk about what they didn't do as well. And the Deseret News editorial board wrote, I think, a nice summary about things that the legislature did not do this year. And we have with us Sarah Weaver in studio. She's the editor of the Deseret News. Thanks for joining us, Sarah.
As always, it's great to be with you.
So let's talk a little bit about what the legislature did not do this year.
Well, lawmakers didn't get the state's popular vote-by-mail system.
I would say hallelujah to that.
Well, and there was a lot of early momentum to do so. And the other thing that they did do was the voters will have to show a proof of citizenship either when they register or when they vote, and that's new. But that bill would have made voters opt either to submit a ballot through the mail or use the drop boxes manned by officials, and there would have had to be ID checks, as you know.
So we do already have to show proof of citizenship when we register, like our driver's license, et cetera. But we still have vote by mail in the state. They did fund a study. I think we have the data from a study, but we can have another study that we don't really have a problem with non-citizens voting in Utah. In fact, looking at 2.1 million voter registrations, the lieutenant governor's office only found one person who was not a citizen who registered, and that person didn't even vote, and they're off the rolls now. So.
You know, one thing I liked about what your op-ed opened up is a bunch of issues that, didn't happen, which we started talking about. And having spent a lot of time up there, this is a good chance for me to opine on how effective the legislative process can be. As you mentioned, a lot of ideas. We had them in the sector I deal with. You mentioned voting. We'll talk about taxes or anything like that, where there's a whole slew of issues that come forward in a legislative session. And many people say to themselves, wait, they're going to do what? But then the process takes place where that feedback is given to lawmakers. You were one, and you know that, where you get that feedback. And there's some criticism about lobbying and those types of things. But I will tell you, 99% of those that are involved in that process are genuine, and what they want to try to do is avoid unintended consequences.
Right.
And so whether it's a tax or this new voting, structure, whatever, there are often unintended consequences. And there are hundreds of times where lawmakers have looked at us and said, oh, I didn't realize that. And to their point, so they back off, redo it. Some of these bills, as you know, go through 6 or 7 substitutes or new versions, and that is the beauty of that refining process. And many, many, many ideas never make it across the finish line, and we breathe a sigh of relief because sometimes they're very bad ideas.
I'll just point out one before we go back to Sarah. So you and I had a conversation a couple of days ago about taxes.
Yeah.
One of the tax bills that did not make it across the finish line was this change to property tax.
Yeah.
And to your point, you said that the House sponsor, which Representative Jill Coford, got a lot of feedback, and she was the one that said, okay, we're not going to move forward with this bill.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean anybody is breaking from their principles. What it means is that they're willing to listen and learn things that maybe they didn't understand. As an example, not only you mentioned property tax, there was an issue there where those not in city centers would really not see much benefit from it. And we explained that to them. There was another issue that was also talked about a lot, was gas tax. But there was in the weeds debate that had very significant implications on production of oil in Utah. Are you driving production out of the state? Are you bringing it in? Because what you think you're doing is, you think it's popular, but the unintended consequences could be catastrophic in the long run. And have you thought about that? And so there's all kinds of things that happen as that back and forth. It's a fascinating process to be a part of. It sounds kind of boring, but it actually is pretty fascinating.
It's the sausage making,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's really ugly. But Sarah, what else did the legislature not do?
Well, and I agree with you that when you put a lot of voices around a table and you do that with sincerity and with commitment, that typically things rise that hopefully are good for the public. One of those things, I think, is that lawmakers did not create a new elected Secretary of State position to handle elections. And you know, the Deseret News editorial board said that was a solution in search of a problem.
Yeah.
I kind of loved that. And instead, the lieutenant governor will be required to create a plan for avoiding the need to oversee her own election.
Yeah, and she's had a plan, but it has just this will be codified. That office has had a plan. So even when it was Spencer Cox was lieutenant governor, when Gary Herbert was lieutenant governor, they had to have plans in place.
Yeah.
What else did they not do?
And you know, we've hit on this a little bit, but immigration is a problem. It's always been a discussion point in the legislature, and this year lawmakers did not scuttle the Utah Compact. And that, I think, is something that's been heralded as a model for how states should handle undocumented immigrants.
You know, actually, those types of debates waded into the financial sector. I'm, obviously working with the credit unions in Utah. That became an issue where we started getting involved in those efforts of, hey, we wanted these bill sponsors, these legislators to know, here's the effect you're going to have on various swaths of the population dealing with getting their banking or credit union services that maybe you didn't think about. And, there were some revealing conversations of, okay, this is how it's going to work if you do it this way. Here's some suggestions on some other ways, or, you go back to the drawing board and bring it back, in a future year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, Sarah, what else?
Well, and another big discussion in the legislature was judicial changes.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about Utah's congressional boundaries. And the thing that was fascinating there is that was handled not by the legislature, but by a 3-judge panel convened in the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. And so the legislature did not need to deal with that. Now, they have some bills that may tackle that in future sessions. But I think that's really interesting.
One of the bills that didn't pass, and I have heard that the lawmaker put it out there as a point of conversation rather than maybe seriously, but this was HB 600, so very into the legislative session. And that bill didn't even have a discussion, but what it would have done is allowed for citizens' initiatives to overturn Supreme Court decisions. All kinds of questions about whether that's even constitutional, separation of powers, all those kinds of things. But it was certainly a talker.
Well, a lot of these bills, not a lot, some of these bills are just to start a conversation. I remember there was another one earlier in the session having to do with weapons, carrying weapons in somewhere like the Delta Center.
Yep.
And that started conversations.
Yep.
And I think that was maybe the point of the bill to get things moving. And sometimes that's just what it takes to get people talking about it, because there's nothing better to get a conversation moving than the threat of a bill passing, right? Meaning, hey, this is going to happen unless we talk about this, or, vice versa. It's a good way to get conversation started. I think sometimes they're messaging bills, but in all fairness, these are often things that these legislators feel passionately about, and they want to do something about it. And so what better way than to just get it into the legislative process?
I think one of the interesting things that didn't pass as well was funding the homeless campus. It just, like, it didn't go anywhere, and the federal funds weren't going to be there after all. That had to do with the lawsuit against President Trump, basically saying we're going to shift goals, and people saying no, and the courts agreeing. So that was part of it, but I was surprised that didn't go anywhere at all this year.
Yeah, there'll actually be a new homelessness czar, if I said that right.
Yeah, that's not his official title.
Tyler Clancy will be taking over for Niederhauser.
He started Monday, actually.
Oh, did he already start?
Yeah,
okay, he will be phenomenal. He's a former police officer in Provo and legislator, and soon to be working on the homeless issue. You said he'd started, so he's already working on it.
28.
Yes.
Well, and that's an issue that's not going away.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just going to keep coming up again. The one other thing that I think is interesting about this session is a bill that passed in the last 90 minutes of the session.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about better boundaries?
Yeah. We only have about 45 seconds, but yes.
Well, I guess that the Deseret News editorial board felt like that bill was unproductive.
So basically, this would this was the one that won't allow Better Boundaries to send postage paid envelopes for people to get their name off the ballot petition. So that's one of the ones where I look like that's kind of sneaky. Also,
I love the bill. I'm just going to chime in. I thought it was a good
also,
bill. It was needed to clarify.
Okay, but come on. The
Well,
way they did it.
Yeah, in
come
my
on,
mind,
you guys.
it puts it into stone, so to speak, into statute that no, you can't prepay for a stamp. End of story. No
right.
need to litigate and pay a lawyer to figure it out.
Okay, well, we have a difference
that,
of opinion there.
More to come on every other legislative session going forward.
No. So thank you for joining us, Sarah Weaver, editor of the Deseret News. Next, we're going to have Attorney General Derek Brown joining us to talk about a new financial crimes intelligence center. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. A house in West Valley City has been deemed unlivable after a car drove into it and ended up in the living room. We spoke to the home's owner, who was asleep in the room above where the car broke through the wall. She says it felt like an earthquake. We'll have more on this story throughout the day. Our top national story this hour, the White House is weighing options as Iran continues to block the Strait of Hormuz.
The U.S. is still focused on its strategy of destroying anything that could potentially attack U.S. forces in the region, and that they simply see it as too risky to divert those forces to escort commercial tankers. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it at a later date.
ABC's Ann Flaherty reporting. St. George police arrested a man on DUI charges after they say he leaned back to grab his phone charger and drove into a construction zone and over two open manhole covers, one of which had a worker inside. The construction worker was okay, but the driver was taken to jail. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 549 points right now. That's almost 0.2%. We're at 46,862. Coming up, an extra warm weekend and week next week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Interest rates have gone up for buying a home, but not for remodeling the exterior of your home. This week only at RGS Exteriors, it's our zero interest financing sale. That's right, 0% interest on any gutters, siding, windows, or any exterior remodeling project on your home. We have programs for 12, 18, and 24 months, all with 0% financing. But the sale is this week only at RGS Exteriors. Want stunning James Hardy siding? 0%. Need to replace your windows? 0%. New gutters or gutter covers? 0%. How about a full extreme makeover? That's right, 0%. We've also been serving Utah for 5 generations, so you can trust us to do the job right. All work is backed by our exclusive 10-year everything guarantee for total peace of mind. And this week only, everything is available for 0% financing with approved credit. Don't put off your new exterior project any longer. As always, estimates are free, so call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
We'll admit, we've already thrown in the towel on the New Year's resolution.
Yeah, and we made it through dry January. But one healthy new habit we're sticking with is Active Liver from New Nordic. Did you know your liver works around the clock processing food, sugar, alcohol, and everyday toxins? All things that can really impact your health.
That's why daily support matters. Active Liver is designed to help protect normal liver function and support your body's natural detox process.
With trusted ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and artichoke extract, it's gentle enough to take all year long.
No harsh cleanses, no extreme detoxes, just simple daily liver support. We really feel the difference.
Yup, more energy and the peace of mind knowing we can enjoy the good things in life while giving our liver the love it needs.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Up to $500 for loan transfers. Love where you bank. And here's Cameron Elliott.
A crash that was sitting on the shoulder of eastbound I-80 has just cleared, but it's causing some residual traffic just past the I-15 interchange. There's also some congestion in Davis County on southbound I-15 in Kaysville as you approach the US 89 interchange. Elevate your dining at the Roof. Now serving lunch and dinner, enjoy city views and cozy favorites like signature steak, pork, or salmon entrees. Visit theroofslc.com. I'm Cameron Elliott in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll get up to 67 degrees today with some breezy conditions, 69 tomorrow, all the way up to 80 by next week. Right now it's 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Welcome to Inside Sources. I am your guest host today, Rusty Cannon, here with Holly Richardson. And Holly, I wanted to shift gears now to talk about a big win, as I see it, at the legislative session that I think could be or has the potential to be a game changer in Utah.
Tell me.
So, financial fraud.
Okay.
It is on most everybody's mind. We probably all have a story of a friend or a relative that has been spoofed or defrauded or something, to where your phone rings, it says it's Zions Bank or America First Credit Union, and it is not. They spoof that number and they take advantage whether you're young or old.
Sure.
There's online scams. There's just a plethora of things going on. So we in the financial sector recognize this is a problem, and we wanted to do something about it. And we got a great lift from our Attorney General in Utah, Derek Brown, and he's joining with us today to talk about this big win and explain what's going on. Attorney General Derek Brown, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Rusty. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so tell listeners about this. This is some new funding that the legislature has put forward for what we are going to call the Financial Crimes Intelligence Center in Utah. Tell us about that.
Well, what we're trying to do is financial crimes are just one of the fastest growing areas of crime that we're seeing. I mean, you mentioned the spoofing here just a minute ago, Rusty, but seniors are getting hit by this all the time, and with AI as well, it is harder and harder to recognize when someone has been hit by one of these crimes. And it's so much easier to fool someone into doing something that they didn't realize. And frankly, I'm seeing financial crimes. I'm seeing this with really seasoned investors. I mean, we're seeing financial crimes by people who you would think would know better, and who do this for a living. And so, because of that, what we're doing is we've created this Financial Crimes Intelligence Center, and the idea is to have sort of a one-stop shop when there is a place, when there is an instance of a financial crime or that sort of thing. What we'll do is we'll have one place where everyone in the state, law enforcement, everybody can go. So it's prosecutors and investigators and paralegals, and then we'll manage that at the Office of the Attorney General. And what it does is it just opens up collaboration, communication. And a lot of times that's the real problem, is when I've even talked to law enforcement who, they get calls from people who have been who've suffered a loss from a financial crime, and they're like, they don't even know what to do because it's just, a lot of these are just really complicated. And so that's hopefully what we're trying to do. And Rusty, you can probably provide a little more color into that, but ultimately that's the goal, is to have a one-stop shop where we can really go after these folks, and we won't suffer from a lack of communication anymore.
So, Derek, let me ask you this question, because I really don't know a lot about this. We've talked a lot about the fraud on this show, but this one-stop shop, is this a database? Is this going to be publicly available? Like in practicality, what is this going to look like?
Well, what we do is we have kind of a reporting center. So for the banking and the financial institutions, they'll have financial crimes investigators. But really, one of the problems that we're seeing is you'll have these different groups and networks that engage in financial crime, and they'll do it all over the state. And there's no way to sort of identify the common thread and figure out who they are. And so part of this is a centralized reporting center. And I mean, what we're really thinking is for banks and financial institutions, and then they'll be able to identify these patterns. And so you can't get spoofed or defrauded. It used to be that they could do it in St. George and in Utah County and then in Logan, and you can hit different people. Here, what we'll be able to do is track the patterns, identify them, and then my office will work directly with law enforcement in each of those areas. And so the real problem as well, and this is something a few people really don't talk about, but you can identify who they are, you can figure out who they are, but ultimately, if you don't prosecute them and bring them to justice, then you've wasted your time.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd talk about. Yeah, Attorney General Derek Brown with us. That's what I wanted to hammer on, was that's the issue. You guys know this, that the perpetrators of a lot of this crime are organized. It's organized crime. It is often international. And it's often driven by, example, one I'll call it a cartel in a particular country does check fraud. This other one does card skimming at ATMs, or those types of things. And you need, for lack of a better term, the bigger guns to go and prosecute them. And it sounds like that's what you guys will hopefully be able to do. Is that right?
This is what we did. I mean, just to talk about another area. I mean, we not long ago organized a task force dealing with organized retail crime, where people would do this kind of, think of it, and they'd go to 8 different Home Depots across the state and shoplift like major items and then go out and sell them. And it just, like, there was no way to connect the dots and figure out who they were and see the patterns and then actually do the prosecution. So this is what we're trying to do in the financial crimes arena, is to have one place where we can identify all this information, connect the dots, and then make it easy for and we won't be doing all the prosecutions here. I mean, this is what we want to do, is facilitate the individual counties in these prosecutions. And if we can have these resources, then we make it easier for them to prosecute. Because one of my biggest frustrations is identifying crime, seeing what's going on, seeing how people are being defrauded. And then it's just too hard for the individual counties to prosecute, or they don't, or it wasn't done in such a way that you can easily do the prosecution. There are so many problems that they end up not prosecuting. So anyway, if a crime is not prosecuted, then there's a failure. And the Financial Crimes Intelligence Center is an effort to stop that failure and to really, move us into the 21st century in a way that only, to my knowledge, one other state in the country has done.
Yeah, and to that point, I was going to mention we're modeling what Texas has done. So they set up something, they call it the same thing, Financial Crimes Intelligence Center. We had a presenter. We actually have a conference next week for the Utah Fraud Prevention Coalition where we'll talk about this, and they spoke at our last one, the gentleman that runs it. It has been so effective in Texas, it has started to drive that organized crime to other states, meaning that there has been some other states that have said, hey, you've moved the problem over to us. We don't necessarily appreciate it. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but basically it is having an effect. And the idea behind this is that the organizers of these crimes, hopefully at some point in the future, will say, we don't want to try to do this in Utah because they'll probably catch us and we'll probably get prosecuted. So we better do it somewhere else.
Interesting. Well, we only have about a minute left, Derek, but what what happens right now with fraud? I know that we are investigating fraud. I mean, we talk a lot about it on our show. Is there one organization? Is it the State Bureau of Investigation? Is it your office? What happens now?
Well, this is our office. We received a very sizable appropriation by ongoing funds from the legislature to set this up. We will be hiring individuals. We'll be bringing resources. I've got a team of seasoned prosecutors who know how to set this thing up. And then, we'll have an intelligence analyst, we'll have investigators, we'll have like a legal analyst, forensic accountants, that sort of thing. And then ideally, we'll be able to, all of them will identify these patterns. And then we can essentially gift wrap it for the prosecutors in the different parts of the state so they can do the work. And so hopefully, as Rusty said, the word will get out. If you're going to do this, if you're going to target seniors, don't do it in Utah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us. That was Utah Attorney General Derek Brown. And look, we're going to continue to stay on fraud. So
plenty to do on that.
If you've been on social media lately, it's been harder and harder to know what's real and what's AI, even when it's messages, ads by public figures, etc. So we're going to have KSL investigative reporter Matt Gebhardt to talk to us about how this is impacting consumers, including a product that was endorsed by an AI Oprah.
Wow.
We're going to be right back. And we want to hear from you. So let us know, 57500.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, it's never good news. Keep in mind, it's not just you.
I owed roughly $34,000.
$61,000. When the IRS first contacted me, I was horrified.
When they start hounding you and harassing you and assaulting you.
Don't face the IRS alone. With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
From what I got told was being done in a matter of 2 years, he had done in a matter of like 48 hours.
It's a great thing to have the IRS off your back.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
Once I signed on with Jordan, I never talked to the IRS again.
It changed our lives.
You need someone to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com and get relief today. Let's solve your tax problems now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com.
Get 5 quarts of Valvoline Full Synthetic Motor Oil and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $36.99. Limit supply.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Bring your visions to life with smart business buying tools and technology from Amazon Business. From fast, free shipping to in-depth buying insights and automated purchase approvals, we deliver everything you need to achieve your goals. Go to AmazonBusiness.com for support.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Step into a world where the music swells, your pulse quickens, and pure emotion takes over. Experience the Utah Symphony's Masterworks concerts, thrilling, elegant evenings at Marisa Bravanel Hall. Feel the romance of Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, the joy of Respighi's The Pines of Rome, and the spine-tingling drama as orchestra and chorus unite for the electrifying masterpiece Carmina Burana. Hear it live, feel it live. Tickets start at $26 at utahsymphony.org.
Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Kenny Michaels right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Kenny is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Kenny's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Need to replace your Social Security card? In most states, you can request one online with a My Social Security account. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can also get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit. Make a plan. Be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
So we've been talking about fraud, and we've talked about it, Rusty, a number of times.
Yeah.
It's so, like, fraudsters are getting so sophisticated, right? And I'm finding myself not trusting what I see nearly as much online, even with stuff coming out of Iran, which is like, is that real?
Yeah.
Is that real, or is that AI? Right? Or is that like old video or something? So we know that there's a lot of stuff that's out there that's AI. I was really disappointed. This is probably a funny story. But I was really disappointed to find out from one of my kids that there was several Instagram videos, reels, that were animals jumping on a trampoline like rabbits. And I thought they were real. Yeah. My daughters just rolled their eyes. No, Mom, that's AI.
Well, there was one a while ago going around where it was a baby that was dancing, and it was really funny and effective. Like, wow, I can't believe doing that. But you could actually put your own face on it and do it. So my family did it to me.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's the video of me. Based on a photo. Well, no, as an adult, but doing the same dance.
Oh, yeah.
And pretty soon you realize, it's fake. But for a minute there, it doesn't look too fake.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're saying is it can be really hard. And what if you have like a public figure speaking to you or pitching you something? Well, that's why we have KSL investigative reporter Matt Gebhardt to tell us about a situation with an AI Oprah. Thanks for joining us today, Matt.
Good morning.
Welcome back to the United States.
Why, thank you. Yes.
So tell us how consumers are being impacted by AI deepfakes.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's lots of ways that we are being impacted. There's lots of ways that the people who are being impersonated are being impacted. So the catalyst for my reporting that I've done on this in the last day is the fact that, Olympians, which now have tons and tons of footage out there, are, the latest targets of these things. They're coming back and they're making political statements or endorsing products that they're just simply not doing. And so in the case of the Olympian, it impacts them because now, if people don't believe the words coming out of their mouth are really them, they lose, that their speech is stifled, as well as, of course, their marketability for times when they may lend their voice to, a company that sponsors them. For us, it impacts us because, for us, the consumer, it impacts us because, we are often being, led through these things to believe things or think things that just are simply not true. And, animals jumping on a trampoline is, cute and whatever. But, sometimes it turns into things like, I endorse this product and the product, maybe doesn't even exist, or, when it does show up, it's nothing near like we thought it was going to be. And, so in the case of the Oprah situation, that was a story I actually reported on late last year, but it was Oprah, a woman saw a video of Oprah selling weight loss, her latest weight loss supplement that she was very high on. And of course, she's somebody who in the weight loss space is somebody who's had a pretty powerful voice. And it wasn't her. It was just, these bad guys selling, in the case of this, turmeric. So this woman got this expensive supply of this, this supplement that is readily available down at every corner store. for a heck of a lot less money than she paid.
So, Matt, I think these are starting to proliferate. Is that just is that anecdotal just because I've seen it more, or is there true proliferation of these AI deepfakes?
There's true proliferation. It's just everywhere, and and it's very hard to tell. It's very, very hard to tell. There used to be, a year ago, maybe slightly more than that, I was doing stories where it was like, here are the giveaways. Well, many of those giveaways are gone.
Yeah. Well, and so that would be my question: is there anything we can do about this? Meaning, what could people look for? Some tells or some clues? Some are fairly obvious, but any advice we have for people at this point?
Yeah, I'll rattle off a couple of things, but the fact of the matter is none of these are foolproof. So there are AI can struggle with shadows a little bit, and so like if something looks kind of improperly lit, or if there's like no wrinkles, or the shadow doesn't seem to make sense. One shadow on one thing is going one way, one shadow on another thing is going another. That can be a dead giveaway. Not a dead giveaway, but that could be a clue. They sometimes struggle still where the scalp goes into the hairline. Like, does that look like it's a little off? Is the hair a little bit high? Robotic voices. Robotic sounding voices, right? It's like, okay, they're pretty good at imitating voices, but is it just a little overly smooth? Is it a little, Oprah talks like this sometimes, if she's just talking at a monotone, is that potentially a giveaway? So these are the little things. It used to be, if you told it to, make a video of a guy, all of a sudden the guy would have 6 fingers. It's like, well, okay, well, that's a giveaway. But it's that kind of stuff that it's kind of gotten better at. And by the time somebody remembers this story 2 months from now, it's going to be even better than it is today. So it's really, really tricky. There is now some actual things being done. There are some tools that I use when somebody sends me a video or a photo and I'm trying to verify if it's real, and that's reverse image searching. So you can take a video, just like you can search a word on Google, you can search an image on Google, and you can figure out, is this video everywhere, or is this photo everywhere? And that's the kind of thing where you can see, in the case of trying to verify if it's like a legitimate bona fide video, you can see if it's on reputable news sites, or in the case of somebody, say, maybe trying to look, here's a picture of me, here's an example I've recently reported on. It's somebody who was victim of a romance scam where somebody was sending a photo of them, supposedly of themselves overseas, which is why they couldn't meet up. But if you took that image and uploaded that image into Google, you could figure out that image was all over the place being used in romance scams. And so some dead giveaways that way. Many people aren't really familiar with metadata, and plus who has time for that, but you can many times with a photo that's sent to you directly get into the image, and you can see, just like if you have an iPhone, you can sometimes look at an image and be like, oh, look, here's where that picture was taken on the map. That's all thanks to what's programmed within the photo it's called metadata. And you can actually open that up and get longitude and latitudes and time stamps and those sorts of things. But that won't work on something like social media. That's just if a photo's been sent directly to you.
So, Matt, let me ask you this question. So when people that are maybe of celebrity status, like Oprah, like Olympians, is there anything legally that they can do with these AI deepfakes?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fraud. Absolutely, there's something they can do. And some of them are doing things. Some of them are suing. But you have to remember that on the backside of this, it's sometimes a shell game of a shell game of a shell game to actually get to where anybody actually has to actually figure out who's doing it. And so they can, but it's not like it's as easy as, somebody claims to be, Holly and, goes out and robs a bank and then or robs a bank's a bad example, but, rips people off and then, Holly's received reputational damage and other things. And so there's defamation, there's fraud, there's all sorts of things that can be done. But when you start getting it to a big enough level, it can be really hard to get to the person actually responsible for these things. And there's also laws. This would be a good spot for Greg to be here to talk from the lawyer voice. But there's also laws that talk about parody, right? There's a car dealer in town who frequently goes on and Arnold Schwarzenegger selling cars, and at the end of the thing it goes, and all celebrity voices are impersonated, which is there are rules about you're allowed to pretend to be famous people as long as you're not lying to do it.
You know, this reminds me of a conversation I had, this must have been 10 years ago at least, with Congressman Chris Stewart. I remember this because he was on the Intelligence Committee,
Yeah.
remember at the time?
Yeah.
And somebody asked him at an event I was at, what keeps you up at night? And I remember, I'm paraphrasing, but his answer was something to the effect of, I worry that we're going to get to a point where we don't know what's real.
Yeah.
And this was, a decade ago, and now it's obviously, so that was rather prescient to look at that. I think we're getting to that point where we start to question what's real. I think some of the good news in this is that we can use some common sense to combat this. As we talked about on the previous segment with our Attorney General on financial fraud, sometimes use the old-fashioned method, meaning if you're going to make a financial transaction, it might not hurt to call the other institution and verify whether it's wire numbers or something like that over the phone, and write it down with a pen or pencil, and you can even go see them in person. Those types of things that you can do if possible to mitigate some types of things. This is a little different if we're talking about social media AI fraud, but just try to do a little bit of homework, and some of the old-fashioned stuff sometimes can work.
Well, Matt, one of the things that you have taught me is that the fraudsters are getting better and better, and it is important to stay cynical.
Yeah, it is very important to stay cynical. And you're talking about Rusty. You're talking about those instant kind of red flags that maybe lean back on some of those. One of the way fraudsters do operate is that they really try to trap people into a sense of emergency, a sense of urgency, and to get people to let those best instincts down. Oh my gosh, I must act quickly. I must do this now. Otherwise, there will be a serious consequence, potentially dire consequence. Where I don't have time to do those steps, go see the financial person in person, go do whatever. And in those cases, if you're actually speaking to somebody live who's maybe trying to rip you off, ask them to do things that are out of the ordinary. And again, these aren't all tricks, or these aren't always foolproof, but I did a story some time ago about people, basically bots applying for jobs to try to get access into companies, and hackers trying to get access into companies. And because of COVID and the fact that there are so many now remote jobs more than there used to be, and it's become 6 years ago we didn't even, of course, a job interview was taking place in person. There was never an idea that it wouldn't take place in person. Now, like a huge percentage of the workforce, you never set foot in the office. And you're not even in the same state necessarily as the company that is, or the same country as the company where you work. And so one of the things you can do in a job interview, and this would go for anybody who's maybe, it used to be, we'll get somebody to turn on their camera, make sure you can actually see them. Well, that's not necessarily, AI has gotten so smooth you could actually, a bad guy can sit there and type in words quickly enough, or AI can, put in words quickly enough and have the thing do it. But what AI can't do is necessarily interact with its surroundings, right? So if you're talking to somebody, this guy will say, as silly as it sounds, what I'll sometimes do is say, hey, go turn on that lamp behind you, or go turn around and touch that. And I try to avoid, unless it's an interview that I've set up, just because to make sure I'm talking to somebody bona fide, I try to avoid letting people use blurred backgrounds. No, I need to see that it's you and it's you in your space, to know that I'm not just talking to a robot here. And to stand up, spin around in a circle. Like, they may be able to get Oprah's face, but are they going to get the back of her head? That sort of stuff.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Matt Gebhardt, KSL investigative reporter. And when we come back, we're going to talk about gas prices that are jumping and spring break. AAA is going to join us. Stay with us.
1032 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story, Utah Senator Mike Lee wants to make it legal to conceal carry legally purchased guns without a permit in all 50 states. KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
29 states, including Utah, already allow people to do this with varying caveats, but Senator Lee wants the same rules to apply in all 50 states. Senator Lee said in a statement, quote, "The founders established a national right to keep and bear arms, not to ask for permission from hostile local officials or risk imprisonment from crossing the wrong state line."
Utah is one of several states that allows people to conceal carry guns without a permit, but you have to be at least 21 years old. A man was killed in what officials are calling an industrial fatality at Kennecott this morning. This was at the Bingham Canyon mine. There is very little we know at the moment, but Unified Fire told us earlier that a patient had to be flown by helicopter to the hospital. Our top national story this hour, the Trump administration is opening new trade investigations into manufacturing in several foreign countries. The move falls under the Trade Act of 1974, which could give the president authority to charge additional import taxes. This follows the Supreme Court's decision that struck down many of the president's tariffs after he declared an economic emergency. This summer's World Cup tickets are being sold and scammers are ready to pounce.
The Federal Trade Commission has issued warnings about fake ticket brokers tapping into the FIFA frenzy. As for the real deal,
You want to look for a real buyer protection.
Jill Gonzalez of StubHub.
Places like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist don't have that.
StubHub does, but FIFA insists that FIFA, is the only authorized seller or reseller of tickets to the World Cup matches that kick off 3 months from now. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment right now, the Dow is down 548 points. We're at 46,868. Coming up, sunshine but breezy. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:34.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, andcollar.com.
Welcome to guided meditation. Close your eyes. You're at the beach. The seagulls are calling. You take out your iPhone 16e you got from Cricket and use Apple Intelligence to clean up that selfie you just took. It's a good one. You send it to your friends instantly thanks to reliable nationwide 5G. They're totally jealous. Get iPhone 16e for $49.99 when you switch. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new line on the Supreme Unlimited plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
Meet Lee Platts, a renter whose possessions fill not only her apartment, but also the darkest corners of a mini storage unit. A land of both truth and fiction. Truth, everything inside is protected by Progressive. Fiction, one day Lee will fit into her clothes from senior year of high school. Renters, discover coverage for what you love and what you can't get rid of in Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
Who is Farm Bureau Financial Services? At our core, we're relationship builders. We're home and auto bundlers, life insurers, farm and ranch protectors, and retirement planners. We're neighbors, community members, and friends. We're the people you can count on now and for years to come. Find a Farm Bureau agent at fbfs.com/protect. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. And here's Cameron Elliott.
There are no accidents on any of Utah's major roads and minimal slowing as we put the morning rush to bed, but there are some small patches of congestion on eastbound 201 coming through Magna, southbound I-15 in Kaysville 2, and eastbound Pioneer Crossing as you approach I-15. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during S&S Roofing Spring Sale. 12 months interest-free financing. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote at snsroofingutah.com. Cameron Elliott in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll get up to 67 today with sunshine, 69 tomorrow, 65 on Saturday before a little storm front moves in with some rain and 50 degrees for a high on Sunday. Right now, though, it's 51 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Today it's Holly Richardson and Rusty Cannon with me. And Rusty, one of the things you've probably noticed is that gas prices since the war in Iran started have spiked. They are in Utah an average of $3.46 today, which is up nearly 50 cents. In just a week, it's almost 70 cents higher than last month. And we have spring break coming right around the corner, at least for our K through 12 kids. And so we know that those jumps are forcing some travelers around the country to rethink plans or worry that their trips could change on them.
So yeah, this is disturbing. I'm concerned. I'm supposed to be taking a road trip with my kids by Friday, and we're supposed to go up the East Coast for spring break. We might be canceling, honestly. This is very expensive.
You know, that's interesting. I filled up this morning. Now that
I
did notice when I looked at the pump and started, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It does hit home. And it's a question of, does it change behavior?
So that is a question, and we have that question out for our listeners. We also have on our Facebook page asking that question, how do you save money on trips when gas prices are high? And or does this impact your plans or have concerns? So one of the things we talked about, actually for our texters, text us at 57500 if rising fuel prices are making you rethink your spring break travel plans. But one of the things we also talked about on the show right after events started happening in Iran is there was a whole group of mostly Utahns, but not exclusively, trapped in Dubai. We know that there were a lot of people in the Middle East, Americans, who ended up like, oh my gosh, I got to get out and I can't get out. But we talked with some people who were there, and they were, speaking of events changing your plans, they were, they told us that they were scheduling 2 flights at a time because the flights would cancel and be moved to the next day, and then they would, rebook. Yeah. And eventually they did make it out, but it was multiple days before they were able to get out of Dubai. So we have with us on the line John Trainer. He's a senior communication specialist with AAA Mountain West Group. Thanks for joining us this morning, John.
Thanks for having me.
So where are fuel prices headed at this point? And any tips of kind of the lay of the land of where you're seeing it go from here, from the AAA perspective?
Sure. We have seen gas prices, as you've seen, go up over the past month. And part of that was this seasonal trajectory heading into spring, more expensive gasoline for the summer, demand increasing. This is a really compounding thing. And we've seen, as you mentioned, 49 cents jump in Utah over the past week. Oil prices have really fluctuated. Where they're going to go, AAA typically does not make predictions because there is so much unknown. What's going to happen with the Strait of Hormuz? We announced that we're going to release oil from the Strategic Oil Reserve. What effect that's going to have? That's going to be an historic amount of oil being released over the next 4 months to try to offset some of these price increases due to oil. So there's a lot unknown right now. But what I can say is it's safe to say that for at least the next couple of days, we're going to see these prices kind of remain where they are.
Do you think that these fuel price changes, fluctuations, how much impact are they going to have on airline tickets?
Well, airlines also, are going to see rising fuel costs because of crude oil. Crude oil is, if you're baking a cake and you have flour, butter, and eggs, if one of those ingredients goes up in price, your cake is going to go up as well. There's no bigger ingredient to fuel than oil. It's about 60% of what you pay at the pump. Now, when it comes to airlines, their fuel is going to go up. Airlines can set their own prices. They might be able to offset that in different ways, and certainly demand is going to play a big role in what airline tickets are going to do. So I can't really speak to what they're going to do, but I can say that airlines are going to face the same issues that we are, which is where fueling those planes is going to be more expensive.
So how does Utah sit, if you can give us a bit of a regional look or even a national look? I mean, I've traveled enough around the country to where I've certainly noticed sometimes, not always, but when I drive to the east from here, you get through Wyoming and into Nebraska and others, and gas prices are typically cheaper there. But I know I've also seen it in California, where I just about my jaw hits the floor when I realize how much they're paying in California on a given day. And I know why, but can you just give kind of how does the Intermountain West, Utah, all of that sit? Any context there?
Sure, yeah. Let's zoom out a little bit. Right now, Utah's really smack dab in the middle of where we are in national averages. If you head up to Wyoming, to the east there, it's 329 is the state average, 346 in Utah. And then if you head west and head one state over to Nevada, it's $4.39 a gallon. Further west, $5.36 in California. So really, Utah smack dab in the middle there. The lowest prices we're seeing are $3.04 a gallon, and that are the folks up in North Dakota right now.
One final question for you, if you don't mind. If people are planning on a road trip, is there anything that they need to either take into account with security or any spring break tips you might have?
Sure. If you're flying internationally, we really recommend use the State Department's STEP program. That's where you can plan your vacation. You can register vacation with the State Department. You will get alerts through your email, push notifications to your phone about situations that are happening where you are, if there are travel advisories. Also, if you're in trouble, internationally, they will have a record of you being in the country where you are. It helps you get help faster if you need to. Locally, let's be smart, efficient drivers. Think back to where we were in 2022 when we saw these record high gas prices. Back then, we changed the way we drove. We didn't idle our car. That burns gas. Do not speed. That burns gas. And maintain your car. Things like underinflated tires can be a real drag on fuel economy. And letting your gas hit E, letting it go below a quarter tank, that could be dangerous for your fuel pump and cause some serious damage later on. So we want to be really smart, efficient drivers and take care of your car so it takes care of you.
Thank you so much. That was John Trainer, Senior Communications Specialist with AAA. We want to hear from you. Are rising fuel prices making you rethink your spring break travel plans? You can call us 801-575-TALK and tell us how you may be adjusting, or if you're just rolling with your plans anyway. Stay with us over the break.
It's all about creativity. Dave's Bernina. Special discounts and fantastic savings.
In our Provo and St. George stores. The top-of-the-line Bernina 990, L890, and 790 and 770 Pro machines are on sale. They come with a limited-time offer of free Bernina accessories, software, and sewing extras, valued from $3,000 to $4,600.
Come in now.
Add to all this savings, 60 months, no interest on certain models.
All new Berninas come with a 5-year warranty and free classes.
Buy one and get one 50% off on all Bernina hoops. Dave's Bernina has made a special purchase of previously owned Bernina 330s for only $499 while supplies last, with a 2-year warranty and free classes.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo. Dave'sBernina.com.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design, every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Welcome to guided meditation. Close your eyes. You're at the beach. The seagulls are calling. You take out your iPhone 16e you got from Cricket and use Apple Intelligence to clean up that selfie you just took. It's a good one. You send it to your friends instantly thanks to reliable nationwide 5G. They're totally jealous. Get iPhone 16e for $49.99 when you switch. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new line on the Supreme Unlimited plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
Buying a home or refinancing can be complicated. So who do you call? Who's trustworthy, has decades of experience, and can get you a loan done quickly? Who will work hard for you to find the great rate and reasonable closing costs? The answer's clear. Loans by Rick. Right now, Loans by Rick is giving a 30-year fixed rate at 5.5% and a 15-year fixed at just 4.625%.
He can't do that.
Oh, yes, he can. For over 25 years, Rick has helped people navigate the mortgage process and get the financing they need to buy a home or refinance. That even includes paying off debt with a cash-out refi. And because Loans by Rick works with over 80 bank and lending relationships, we shop multiple lenders to find you the very best deal. Whether you're buying a home or refinancing, call Loans by Rick at 801-809-SAVE. That's 801-809-SAVE or visit loansbyrick.com. Rick Bob, NMLS 241179, Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106, Equal Housing Lender, 30-year APR 5.78%, 15-year APR 4.78%. Some restrictions apply.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
The new Inside Sources.
So we want to know, are rising fuel prices making you rethink your spring break travel plans? You can call us 801-575-TALK and tell us how you may be adjusting, or if you're rolling with it anyway, or you can text us at 57500. So I'm Holly Richardson. I'm joined in studio by Rusty Cannon today. Rusty, is there, like, as you think about your family's travel plans, is there anything that you do to maybe conserve costs, right, to keep costs down, or do you just roll with it?
We probably are a little bit more of the roll with it crowd. Yes, I think there are points where the pain is enough where you make changes, and there's things that you can do, and we will do that, where you try to take along snacks, those kinds of things, and don't be as spendy. But I don't know, we a lot of times we're in it more for the experience, and if we've got to pay a higher price to have that experience, we'll just gut through it. So.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about this as fuel prices spike. So gas prices in Utah nationally, at least in Utah, they're $3.46 a day on average, which is up nearly 50 cents in just a week. It's up almost 70 cents since last month. And we just spoke with AAA, John Trainer's senior communications specialist. He told us that unpredictability is going to make gas prices fluctuate.
Where they're going to go, AAA typically does not make predictions because there is so much unknown. What's going to happen with the Strait of Hormuz? We announced that we're going to release oil from the Strategic Oil Reserve. What effect that's going to have? That's going to be an historic amount of oil being released over the next 4 months to try to offset some of these price increases due to oil. So there's a lot unknown right now. But what I can say is it's safe to say that for at least the next couple of days, we're going to see these prices kind of remain where they are.
Fuel markets, they like any other commodity market, they operate oftentimes in the short term on emotion or what's right in front of them.
Yeah.
I remember just a few days ago seeing news headlines about expectations of the price of a barrel of oil going well above 100, but they actually had come way back down to about 80 because things were fairly quiet. Recent 24 hours, we've had more noise in the Strait of Hormuz, and prices have spiked again. Hasn't changed anything with near-term supply,
right? But
it's the emotion in that market price. That's what's driving our prices up. Can also drive them down, which isn't too comforting for everybody. But just a reminder that obviously, we have no idea where this is going to go, and it's going to be driven by the news.
So we do have a couple of texters who have let us know. One texter let us know that they were planning to drive for a short vacation to California, but now they're thinking of looking at plane tickets, which is interesting. And then another texter told us that they will have to cancel their spring break trip. So it's not just the gas costs, but everything else is going up, including food and everything that has to be shipped in. So the Strait of Hormuz, all right, that's actually constricting a lot of global distribution. So they say they're going to be hunkering down, and quite honestly, they don't know if they feel safe about flying right now.
Well, that's another question, of safety in addition to cost. We were joking as we were preparing for this segment. If you want to find half of your neighbors during the next few weeks, just go look in St. George. If you want to find the other half, go down to Disneyland.
That's right.
So,
for spring break.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very, very popular places. That I-15 corridor can get pretty crowded. I know there's a Maverick is it the Fillmore exit?
Yes,
and every time
absolutely
I go
there is.
So crowded.
Yep, you got to stop there or you run out of gas.
Good luck finding a parking space or wait in line for the restrooms. But it's fun to see that. Oftentimes it's just very, very, very crowded along that I-15 corridor. They're all kind of heading the same direction.
So I have this is Holly being dumb story. So I actually was on a political campaign, and you have I-70. You hook into it from I-15. If you go left, you go into Colorado. So I guess if you go east, you go into Colorado. If you go to the west, you have this long stretch with no gas stations. Well, I did not check.
Oh.
And I got partway into that. I ran out of gas. No cell phone coverage because it's literally the middle of nowhere. And I had to wait until some farmer saw me. and he had filled gas cans because I probably wasn't the only one that happened to.
You've probably seen it before.
It was that was embarrassing. I've only made that mistake one time.
So that was on I-70.
That was on I-70 going west. But I didn't look at the signs that say this is your last chance before you head out into the boonies.
Yeah, pay attention, be prepared.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if a trend really starts and prices continue to spike, if people make changes. The other thing too is a lot of these plans financially you sometimes can't change, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's penalties or non-refundable fares, things like that. You're going.
So one of the things that our AAA guest told us is that to get travel insurance could be one thing, right? And I learned that lesson the hard way a couple of years ago. It was only 2 years ago, actually. I had bought cheap tickets for myself and two of my daughters to go to Hawaii. It's like, I'm not going to cancel this. In fact, it was my trip right after the legislative session to kind of recover. And then I was in the ICU.
Oh, shoot.
And I had to cancel. And they were non-refundable. They were the cheap seats. And I'm like, okay, I'm never not buying travel insurance again, even if it adds to the cost, which it does, because I didn't want that scenario of having to eat that much in outgo, I guess.
Yeah.
But we do have some more people who have commented on our Facebook post, and I'll tell you, one says that they're thinking about getting an e-bike. I'm seeing more and more of those around.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
This is somebody that I know, and he says he's rethinking how to survive on a fixed income, and that is something like if your income is fixed but the costs are increasing, that starts to make hard conversations, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, that's always a concern, especially with those that are, in retirement years, those kinds of things, that are living on a fixed income. Variable costs are not fun to deal with.
Yeah. We have one who says that their plans are made, the flights are booked, and they're going to take public transportation once they get there, but they hope there's no delays with TSA. And that's another conversation. It's not really necessarily related to gas prices, but because there's a partial government shutdown, TSA is being impacted. And so what we're seeing, this is a story out of Houston, but their secondary airport, they had lines over 3 hours long for much of Sunday and Monday just to get through security. We haven't heard of anything like that happening with the lines at the Salt Lake City airport, but that could still be something to be aware of, right? Is that you may have longer lines at the airport just because we've got fewer people at being able to do TSA.
Yeah, no, I felt bad. I traveled last week in Washington, D.C. and coming back, and I remember a good experience through security coming and going back in Washington, D.C. as well as here in Salt Lake. I should have thanked them. I didn't even think about that. Those that were screening us through security, I totally forgot that they're working without pay.
They are working without pay.
And so you couldn't blame them for being in a bad mood. We're all in a bad mood when we go through there anyway, and they have to deal with us. But right now, something to keep in mind that they're under a little bit of stress. Maybe take a moment and thank them. But they are literally working without a paycheck right now.
Yeah. So we have a texter confirming me being stuck in the boonies, and they reminded us, I didn't need a reminder, but thank you, that I-70 from Green River to Salina, it's 106 miles of no services.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was probably 50 miles in. There was no way. It's like when I noticed it was getting really low, I'm like, oh crap.
We need to have a monument there for you, like Holly was here, and just have some sort of monument for that.
So there's It's funny. So we have somebody who commented on the Maverick store down in the Fillmore exit, and he said now he turns to the right and goes to the Union 76 and gets a better gas price through GasBuddy.com.
Okay.
And they have found that Sam's Club up in the Salt Lake area, they have the lowest price stations right now. And another texter lets us know that there's something called Tank Up Tuesdays with a certain gas vendor. Loves in Fillmore, 10 to 25 cents off.
Oh.
So those are all good things to know.
Yeah, good little
right?
life hacks.
And I can see when gas prices spike. I typically go to Costco to get gas because it's usually cheaper. And I can tell when other people are like, okay, it's enough. I'm going to Costco today. Sometimes when it's low everywhere, there's nobody. Sometimes you wait in line for, I don't know, a dozen cars ahead of you.
Yeah, there's sometimes some very, very thick lines, long lines there at the Costco near us.
Yeah,
sure.
That's right. Yeah. So we know that there's a lot of Utah is a popular spring break destination. Those of us who live here, sometimes we don't take advantage of the great opportunities, but we know that there are people who do come here for spring break, and you know it's coming up. I think you said your spring break starts March 30th. Our spring break down in Utah County starts on April 6th,
so you're
7th,
the week
whatever.
after Easter.
I'm the week after, and you're the week before. But anyway, thank you everybody for letting us know what your plans are. So there's a debate underway to talk about using the talking filibuster to pass the Save America Act. We're going to talk about that and what that really means when we come back after this break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. One person is now in the hospital and two more have been temporarily displaced after a car crashed into a home in West Valley City this morning. This happened in a neighborhood near 4100 South in Mountain View. The car plowed through the wall into the downstairs family room. It's now unsafe to live in.
It's my forever home, and so it's just heartbreaking and I think overwhelming and just sad to see something that like you love so much and to grieve it too, along with its like memories.
25-year-old Angelica Rodriguez has lived in this home her entire life. She says she and her father were in home at the time but were not hurt. The man driving the car has been taken to the hospital. Police say they do not suspect impairment or any criminal wrongdoing. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 2 people were injured after a gunman opened fire on the Old Dominion University campus in Virginia this morning. Authorities say the shooter is dead. This student said he was in his class when he and other students heard a noise, followed by lots of running.
Got outside and someone yelled, like, there's a shooter on campus, and so everything got blurry from there.
Classes are canceled on the main campus for the rest of the day. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 534 points. The S&P is down 74 points. And coming up, highs in the 70s. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. Drugstore insoles, custom insoles. I spent thousands of dollars. I bought all these products, and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet. and the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Teresa actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
They wanted to make sure that I got something that my feet felt good in, not somebody else's feet. I love the fact that I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes. I have boots, I have cowboy boots, I have running shoes, I have walking shoes, I have flat shoes, I have heels. It makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store. I'm Teresa, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs change, kids grow, but what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Well, thanks to the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need the most, that finds and fixes any issues before you notice. It's like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected. You get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices and no one battling for bandwidth. For the next 5 years, all your devices in perfect harmony, and you get the best equipment, no annual contract, no fees, no strings. So even though the kids will grow up and you still won't understand 6-7, your internet will stay sharp, reliable, and the price stays put. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. All with the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Up to $500 for loan transfers. Love where you bank. Here's Cameron Elliott.
There's a little bit of slowing in Davis County as you come southbound on I-15 in Kaysville, but it's smooth sailing all the way from Bountiful to Provo in both directions. In Utah County, eastbound 2100 north in Lehigh is looking a little heavy as you head towards I-15. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, GoPave Utah has your blacktop covered at GoPaveUtah.com. That's GoPaveUtah.com. Call or visit GoPaveUtah.com. I'm Cameron Elliott in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs in the upper 60s, bordering on 70s today and through the weekend. We can see highs reach 80 degrees next week. Right now it is 57 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm your guest co-host today, Rusty Cannon, here with Holly Richardson. And we're going to switch gears back to Washington, D.C. and talk about something that it's a little bit in the weeds, but it's important. A debate going on in Washington, D.C. over the SAVE Act, having to do with voting. But it's not so much about the act itself. It's about the method to pass it. And it's called the talking filibuster. Holly, have you heard about the talking filibuster?
I have. And before we talk about that, I wanted to see if we can just make sure in the Senate to pass a bill under most scenarios, you need to have 60 votes.
Yes, to overcome the threat of the filibuster.
They don't have 60 votes to pass the Save America Act.
Correct.
They already know that there's at least one Republican who will not support the act. Mm-hmm. There's other Republicans who don't support this talking filibuster. So tell us about that. So let me just say this, I guess. Yeah. When I hear the word filibuster, what I do think of are politicians who drone on and on and on. That's what a talking filibuster sounds like to me.
That's pretty much what it is. So this was the practice before the 1970s. So just to reiterate, the current practice is that it's currently basically a silent practice. You simply have to have the threat of a filibuster, and that's enough. And you have to have 60 votes required to what is called invoke cloture and end debate. This allows the Senate to set that aside, that blocked bill, and move to other types of work. And so this happens behind the scenes, so the public's not seeing, this obstruction, if you want to call it that. What the talking filibuster is the way that it used to work, which means that senators must speak 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they cannot stop. You need 51 votes that can pass the bill if the minority stops talking. So this does gridlock the Senate. All other Senate business stops until the filibuster is over, and this would be highly visible. They would be doing this, out in the open. So it's basically a war of attrition where they must physically hold the floor and speak continuously to delay a vote. So this happened, and we'll go into detail here with civil rights legislation in 1964. It's probably the greatest example of this. But basically how it works. In the Senate, there's a rule, Senate Rule 19, where each senator is limited to 2 speeches on the same legislative day. Now, a day can last for weeks. In fact, I believe the one we're talking about in 1964 went on for 60 days.
Wow.
Which is just, an absolute marathon.
Well,
so it's not a technical day, but it's a set period.
How do you have, if it lasts for 60 days, how do you have people only speak twice?
Because it just went, under the rule, I'll explain. So basically, every senator gets 2 speeches on the same legislative day. To maintain it, you must remain standing at your desk. You cannot sit, lean, or leave the floor, not even to use the bathroom. You can only drink water or milk, according to the rules. You can yield to a question from an ally to get a brief physical break, but if you yield the floor entirely, the debate is over.
Wow.
If the minority party runs out of senators willing to speak, or if they exhaust their 2 allotted speeches, the presiding officer is required to put the bill to an immediate majority vote, which means 51 votes would pass the bill. So this shifts the burden. In the current system, the burden is on the majority. In this case, the Republicans need to find 60 votes to move something forward.
Right.
As you mentioned, you can't do that with the SAVE Act. So in a talking filibuster, the burden shifts to the minority. In this case, that would be the Democrats to keep talking. If the minority party can't sustain the physical effort to stay on the floor, the majority can pass the bill with just 51 votes. In addition, though, the majority, and this is the kicker here, the majority has to stay close by because they can do a quorum call.
And everybody has to be
Everybody has to be on the floor. You got to get your 51 senators to the floor, or they will adjourn and start that legislative day over, which means they can go on and delay it, for a fresh 60 days or however long they're willing to do this. And so that's the difference. This is basically a war of attrition where the minority needs to continuously talk. The majority needs to make sure their people are there in case of a quorum call, and you just try to outlast each other. That is what some are saying needs to be brought back. I believe Utah Senator Lee is one, and we'll talk in our next segment with Senator Curtis and get his opinion. But that is what is being debated right now back there. It's the method, not so much the act itself.
So it's interesting to me because it seems to me that at some point the talking has to stop.
Yeah.
And then the bill's going to pass if they have 51 votes, which I think that might still be in question. But But tell me what happened with the civil rights debate.
So that was the most significant use of this tactic. It was over the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So a group of 18 Southern Democrat senators, they launched a record-setting collective filibuster. At the time, they used the quotes, they wanted to talk the bill to death. It lasted for 60 working days, including 7 Saturdays.
Wow.
Senator Byrd delivered a single speech lasting 14 hours. That has now been broken, I believe, by Senator Booker recently. It ended on June 10th in 1964, and they successfully invoked cloture, ended debate for the first time on a civil rights bill, and the final vote for cloture was 71 to 29, surpassing the two-thirds majority needed at the time, 67 votes. That's what they needed. And there was another moment where one of the yes votes occurred when Senator Engel, at the time, if I'm saying his name right, was terminally ill. He couldn't speak due to a brain tumor and was wheeled onto the floor and signaled his yes vote by pointing to his eye. His physical eye, which means A-Y.
Yeah,
right. Yes, for that yes vote.
Wow.
So that's an example of when. So basically, it just becomes a war of attrition. So if you want to see D.C. grinding to a halt, this might be an example of where we do that. Now, however, some people feel like it forces them to put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. Of listen, well then you've got to you've got to do the work. Let's get there and do the work. I believe that's one of the arguments for bringing this back.
So it's interesting to me that I feel like it. You said a war of attrition, but I can't imagine that the entire Senate, all 100 members, if they're all there, if they would even want to be there while everything's ground to a halt, because you have a time limit to get in there if they do a quorum call.
Yeah.
So
you're glued to the floor. Like you basically can't.
You can't
go
even leave. You can't even
go
to your
home.
office.
You can't do other events. You can't do speeches. You can't do other work, like that kind of a thing. Now, some would argue that that's what they should be doing. But it's on the flip side. Yes, it would completely change the way the modern Senate works. Now, this is the way it used to be, according to what what I've read and everything that, historical record. And so there's active debate on whether it would be a good idea to go back, because if you break it, you got to own it.
Yep.
And as I mentioned on a previous show, you can thank Senator Harry Reid for some of the Supreme Court justices. Now, he was a Democrat, but he said we're going to change it to a 51 vote for lower court judges.
Yeah.
And then later, Senator McConnell changed it. Okay, well, we'll do that also with Supreme Court judges.
Yeah.
And now you have
instead of 60,
breaking that.
you have
Yeah, instead
51.
of the 60, and now you have where you just need the 51.
Yeah.
And how you have the current court makeup. So this has some huge implications, and so that's why it's such a robust debate. Senator Cornyn, who's in Texas, he wrote an op-ed yesterday. He thinks it's time to do this because in his mind, he believes Democrats will break the filibuster as soon as they get Senate power. Some have said that on record that they intend to. They tried to do it a few years ago, but Senator Sinema and Manchin were the only ones that stopped them.
So let me ask you this cynical question. Senator Cornyn is in a heavy primary, hot primary with Ken Paxton down there. Does this have anything to do with his primary?
It could, because neither have been endorsed by the president. Both want the endorsement.
Both want it.
And President Trump has been saying, hey, in fact, he said the other day, I won't sign it. He's threatening to not sign anything else unless this SAVE Act is passed.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of senators that are on record or co-sponsoring the SAVE Act, but they're not willing to break the filibuster to do it and bring back this talking filibuster.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk more about that and Senator John Curtis's perspective. We're planning on having him join us. You never know, in D.C., I guess. Actually, I think he's in Utah this week.
No, well, the Senate's in session.
The
He's
Senate's
in
in
D.C.,
session,
the
so
House
he's
is
in
home.
D.C.
Yeah.
Well, right, so we're hoping to have him join us and talk about this talking filibuster and maybe some of the other work that he's doing on behalf of Utah. Stay with us over the break.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. Your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive Home and Auto Bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/groundadvantage to learn more.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Inside Sources.
So I am Holly Richardson, and I'm joined in studio by Rusty Cannon today, and we have on the line with us Utah Senator John Curtis. Hi, Senator. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. It's so great to be with you. It's actually snowing here in D.C., by the way.
Oh, wow.
We need that here.
We have springish weather. Sorry.
Yesterday was 85, and today is snowstorm.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Rusty was just educating me and our listeners on the talking filibuster and how it's been used, and it's kind of like a war of attrition. It sounds to me like something like eventually when somebody needs to go to the bathroom or something, the whole deal is off and the bill passes anyway. So what can you tell us? I know you've had really strong opinions about the filibuster and doing away with it. Please share with us.
Yeah, so let me start with that. And I, some people interpret my strong feelings for the filibuster as anti-Save America Act, and I think that's a totally different subject. And if we have time, I'm sure we can talk about that. But I will just say that the ability of the Senate to be a stabilizing body has been so incredibly important throughout our history. And can you imagine whiplashing back and forth? A really good example is these monuments in Utah that go back and forth every time we have a new president. And can you imagine major pieces of legislation going back and forth every time one party controls the presidency in the House and the Senate? And one of the ways that that's been prevented is to require 60 votes in the Senate, which almost always means that you have to pick up some of the minority party. And that has a real advantage, and in the case of the SAVE Act, it has a real advantage, which is it would make it enduring. It would make it last past just the current Republican domination right now. And it has an ability to refine legislation too, right? If you're going to pick up some Democrat votes, it's going to take off some of those rough edges that some people might see in the SAVE Act.
So, Senator, if I understand it correctly, the issue at hand is, well, let me put it this way. There was an op-ed yesterday where Senator John Cornyn said, hey, maybe it's time we do this.
Yeah.
And if I understood his argument right, it was he believes, and I think he's got a point, that the Democrats, if and when they get control of the Senate, will ditch the filibuster. They've been on record saying they're going to do it. So why not do it now if they're going to do it later anyway? I'm not saying I agree with his argument, but did I phrase it right?
So, Rusty, you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like not for us, but for somebody else saying, I know my wife's going to cheat on me, so I'm going to cheat on her first.
That's a fair point. Yes, okay. Understood. Well played.
And so, you know, just because somebody has insinuated that they would do something that would undermine the institution doesn't really give me justification. Another way to say it is, you know, not on my watch. Mm-hmm. And I just want to be really clear. Like, the work that Senator Lee has done on this is really important. And these issues are really important. And they poll it, you know, near 80%. And so I would suggest we take a slightly different look and say, if we have an issue that's polling at 80% and we want to solidify it in law, why can't we pick up a half a dozen Democrats and get their vote? And that then makes this enduring and last beyond the next president. And so I think another way to look at this is it's kind of been framed as the only way to pass the SAVE Act is to destroy the filibuster. And I'd like to just kind of put out there, look, if we really want to immortalize Senator Lee's work, let's go figure out how to pick up some Democrats' votes. Let's look at other options besides the 60-vote filibuster. And quite frankly, you know, what's really interesting is the president 2 days ago himself actually mentioned this option of picking up some Democratic votes. And we haven't had enough discussion about that.
So he's talked about that, where he wants the SAVE Act passed. Has there been any momentum reaching across the aisle on the SAVE Act? Anything that can be done?
You know, when the president said that, that's the first time I've heard him say it. I've been saying it. I've been shouting it from the housetops, but I was really pleased to hear him say it. And I will tell you that when you start out to say, look, we're going to go pick up some votes from the minority party, you have to acknowledge that I got to find a way to make them like it. And here again, if it's polling at 80-20, there should be some of them that like it. If they don't like it, what is it about it they don't like? There's been a lot of conversation about actually what it means to show ID when you vote. Hey, let's have that conversation. And right, if we can perhaps even make the bill better by their perspective of how you show ID, then we should have that conversation.
So I don't know if you want to have that conversation right now, but I have some big concerns about the Save America Act, including the idea that the federal government would do away with vote by mail, when it seems to me that the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, was pretty clear that the states have the right to choose the time, place, and manner of conducting elections. So that's just one issue.
So, Holly, it's just totally unrealistic to bring up the Constitution. Like, what are you thinking?
Mere details.
Okay.
Mere details.
But Holly, you bring up another point that I want to make. One of the difficulties here is that the SAVE Act is morphing and changing. So a few days ago, it didn't have the mail-in ballot as part of it. And now it does, and it's actually been suggested it should include some other Republican priorities like men and women's sports. And so all of a sudden now it does get very complicated, and particularly where I represent a state that has everybody's automatically mailed a ballot. And so you're asking me to say, well, you've got these other priorities that I like, but you've got this one that goes right in the face of federalism, goes right in the face of what you just mentioned from the Constitution. And quite frankly, has been very instrumental for increasing voter turnout, especially in rural Utah. And so that, you know, that would be a problem. And so one of the things that might come before us too is a SAVE Act that has these additional things as amendments, which would allow us to separate them. And it's not quite been determined, or do we just vote on one big bill that has everybody's wish list for the SAVE Act in it?
Yeah. I do see that Senator Thune is saying that the talking filibuster is dead. That was a couple of weeks ago. Is it still dead, or are you still trying? Is the push, I guess, to reform the Save America Act to make it more palatable so that it can pass, or is the push really to do away with the 60 vote threshold?
Yeah. So when John Cornyn, you mentioned John Cornyn from Texas had flipped on this issue, and John Thune was asked about that, and his response is the opposition goes much deeper than just that, and it's hard to know, but I think there's probably somewhere between 20, 25, maybe even more than that, Republicans who would not accept as an option breaking the filibuster because of the reasons we talked about right a few minutes ago. But I'll come back to that doesn't mean that we should give up. We should look. It doesn't mean that's the only option that we have in front of us. And one of them we've mentioned is actually finding some Democrats that agree that you should be a citizen to vote. By the way, that's the law, so that it shouldn't be hard to get them there. And if we can get through, and I know, and I suspect you have some of these issues with just exactly how we ask for ID. If we can work through that and get to a happy place on that, can we pick up some Democrats' votes? And then we have this in law, and it won't flip back, and we'll lose it. And so, by the way, I think it's not only losing it in a couple of years that I'm worried about. The Democrats tried to pass their electional law when they had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and it would have been devastating from a Utah perspective in the way that we view safe elections. And so it's not only like if we create this path by knocking down the filibuster, we're going to have a much worse election law as soon as the Democrats have the levers of power. And so people have got to kind of think through that and say, well, do we want this for 2 years, or do we want it permanent?
Yeah, that's one of the things that Rusty says on this show several times. If you break it, you own it. Yeah. Right? Yeah, it's going to come back around.
You know, I'll tell you, people will be talking about for the rest of American history, Harry Reid breaking the filibuster for judges.
Yep.
And when he did that, he took a short-term gain, and as a result, Donald Trump got to put 4 people on the Supreme Court with 51 votes. Those 4, very likely, some of them at least, would not have made it if that bar was 60. And Democrats learned really fast the consequences of that short-term gain.
He's exactly right. My history teacher used to say, those who don't study history are condemned to repeat it.
That's right. So thank you so much for joining us, Senator Curtis. We really appreciate it.
Let's do it again. Yeah, you guys are the best.
Let's do it.
Thanks.
Okay. Next, coming up, we're going to go state, I guess, with our federal delegation, and we're going to talk with Representative Celeste Malloy about the new district and the one that she's going to be running in. Stay with us.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. America's largest online university is moving its headquarters to Salt Lake City. Western Governors University serves nearly 190,000 students from all over the country. The school's current Utah office is in Mill Creek, but it says the move to Salt Lake City will be a major expansion on the block where the Sheraton Hotel is. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Starting this weekend, TSA employees will get $0 paychecks thanks to the partial government shutdown.
TSA agent Aaron Barker is a union rep at the airport in Atlanta and says of his colleagues,
they are having to make very tough decisions as to, do I put gas in my car to report to work? Do I pay my daycare bill? I mean, they don't even have the money to do that.
This weekend, the people searching your bags and making sure you're safe in the skies will get paychecks totaling $0. The partial government shutdown so bad that several airports, including those in Las Vegas, Denver, and Cleveland, are opening food banks and handing out grocery store gift cards to those in need. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 584 points. The S&P is down 77. And coming up, highs in the 60s and 70s. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, it's never good news. Keep in mind, it's not just you.
I owed roughly $34,000.
$61,000. When the IRS first contacted me, I was horrified.
When they start hounding you and harassing you and assaulting you.
Don't face the IRS alone. With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
From what I got told was being done in a matter of 2 years, he had done in a matter of like 48 hours.
It's a great thing to have the IRS off your back.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
Once I signed on with Jordan, I never talked to the IRS again.
It changed our lives.
You need someone to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com and get relief today. Let's solve your tax problems now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com.
There's something about this time of year when it's easy to get the blahs. The holidays are in the rearview mirror. Even Valentine's Day is in the rearview mirror. It's time to put a little sparkle in your life, and that's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And here along the Wasatch Front, we have 2 locations. Hotel Park City. If you're up enjoying a day of skiing, wrap up that day with a delicious meal at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And then, of course, there are great fun activities that are happening in downtown Salt Lake City, sporting events, movies, you name it. And again, right there at 275 Southwest Temple, there's a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse waiting for you. The food is prepared perfectly and delivered on that 500-degree sizzling plate. Whether it's a steak, poultry dish, seafood, everything cooked to your expectations at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And the side dishes and the desserts, they are simply legendary. Downtown Salt Lake City and Hotel Park City, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
We'll admit, we've already thrown in the towel on the New Year's resolution.
Yeah, and we made it through dry January. But one healthy new habit we're sticking with is Active Liver from New Nordic. Did you know your liver works around the clock processing food, sugar, alcohol, and everyday toxins? All things that can really impact your health.
That's why daily support matters. Active Liver is designed to help protect normal liver function and support your body's natural detox process.
With trusted ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and artichoke extract, it's gentle enough to take all year long.
No harsh cleanses, no extreme detoxes, just simple daily liver support. We really feel the difference.
Yup, more energy and the peace of mind knowing we can enjoy the good things in life while giving our liver the love it needs.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. Here's Cameron Elliott.
There's a fresh crash on southbound SR 36 in Erta that's got one lane closed down, bringing traffic to a crawl as you approach East Church Road. In Utah County, we're seeing some congestion on eastbound Corey Ride Highway as you come up on the Mountain View corridor. Traffic's rough, but your parking lot doesn't have to be. GoPave Utah keeps things smooth with expert asphalt maintenance at GoPaveUtah.com. That's GoPaveUtah.com. Cameron Elliott in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs in the upper 60s today with a little bit of breeze. We'll see temperatures drop to 50 on Sunday before jumping back up on Monday, with highs in the 80s possible next week. Right now it is 59 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
We do have breaking news, and this is out of Michigan. Police are responding to reports of an active shooter at a synagogue outside of Detroit, where smoke is billowing from the roof of the synagogue. A local affiliate there reports that a truck crashed into the Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan. Footage from the scene shows dozens of police vehicles surrounding the building. The Jewish Federation of Detroit advised all Jewish organizations in the area to go into lockout protocol, meaning nobody in or out of their buildings. So we will keep an eye on that story as the day goes on. Now, I wanted to talk with, and Rusty Cannon and I both wanted to talk with Representative Celeste Malloy, who is one of the people running for Congress in these new districts that are now finally finalized, now that we're here in the week
finalized
in the week of filing for congressional districts. Thanks for joining us, Representative Malloy.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
So a lot of people might not know what district they're in at this point. So you'll be running in District 3. Could you explain kind of where that is generally or specifically and how things roll out now?
Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of people are confused about what the districts look like now. I've gotten a lot of texts over the last few days from people in Salt Lake County saying, oh, I saw that you filed and you're still going to represent me. District 3 goes all the way across southern Utah and up the east side. And I live in Cedar City, so I live firmly in District 3, but I'm picking up a lot of counties along the east side. I won't have any of Salt Lake County. And it has been confusing, which is part of the reason so many of us work so hard to stop this from happening, because I don't want the voters to feel like they're getting jerked around in a system that, I've talked to people from the Uinta Basin, and they were in the 1st district, and then they were in the 3rd district, and now they're in the 3rd district again, but it's a very different 3rd district, and they keep getting new representatives. And so we're trying to make this, the delegation, are trying to make this as painless as possible for people.
So I'm just going to ask you like a logistical question. Rusty and I have both worked on campaigns, and one of the things that happens, I think, is a lot of times as you get ready for caucuses, you're trying to recruit people to go to the caucuses who might be your supporters, your delegates, et cetera. But caucuses are next week. Yeah. How do you campaign when you weren't even sure where you were going to campaign?
That is a fantastic question. And I wish I had the right answer to it, but that's what we're all grappling with right now. That is the problem with this whole process, is that it's been messy. There hasn't been a lot of public input, and now the public is going to have to adjust and live with this process that isn't serving them very well. But I am putting out videos on social media. I'm relying on a lot of my friends in these different areas. And I'm doing what I can to reach out to people because you're right, we don't have a whole lot of time, but filing isn't even over yet. There's still 2 more days to file to run in these districts. So we're just going to have to run really quick races. Luckily for me, I've done that before.
You have been around the block a couple of times recently. So if I'm looking at the map, and I'm just generalizing, you have kind of the Park City area, kind of northeastern Utah, but then you come down and your district is part of Utah County. So a lot of those listening, so there's a dividing line. It looks like somewhere around Orem and south. Is that right? Okay. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So Provo and Orem are both in the 3rd district, and then a lot of that South Utah County area. And then everything east of that is in the new 4th district. So San Pete County, Sevier County, Tooele, Juab, some of Salt Lake County, and the rest of Utah County are in that new 4th district. So it's kind of the central western part of the state. The 3rd district wraps around it. So St. George, San Juan County, the Uinta Basin, Park City, Provo, Orem are all in the 3rd district.
I think that Uinta Basin one is really interesting because, as you mentioned, it used to be in that 1st district, which is across the north part of the state. And then with the last redistricting, I think it was John Curtis, actually, who had the district change and then included Uinta County, and he had to switch who he campaigned to. And now it's changed again. So it's included in St. George, which is, it's just interesting and trying to keep population numbers equal across the 4 districts, even though we know that the bulk of the population of Utah lives along the Wasatch Front.
Yeah, that's not an easy task. And I hope what we've learned is that it's a task that's best left to the state legislature because they collectively represent the whole state. And so they have to balance all of the competing interests statewide. Because this map was drawn by an interest group, and it does have some difficulties to it. And we're all going to work hard and make the best of it and make sure we're giving good representation to the people in Utah. But, I have people in St. George telling me they don't feel like they have a lot in common with people in Blanding. And people in Provo may not feel like they have a lot in common with people in Duchesne. But it is all Utah. Our issues are very similar, top to bottom, east to west across the state. And we're going to do our best to make sure everybody feels well represented. And the delegation will work together and make sure we're not making these lines an impediment to getting things done.
So having a good attitude and moving forward now, I assume that you're now engaging with voters. I'm curious, what is on the minds of primary voters as of today? Obviously, that can change next week, but now as you're going out engaging, what's on everybody's mind? Are you hearing anything particular of, there's themes coming out at this point?
Yeah, people are concerned about the economy. They want to be able to afford gas and groceries, and they want to be able to save up and send their kids to college. I don't know that ever changes, but we've enacted a lot of good policy in the last year that helps with that. And people are concerned about, geopolitics, what's happening in the Middle East, and I'm doing my best to keep people up to date on that. Obviously, there's breaking news every day, but we have clear goals in Iran, and we're accomplishing those goals. And so I think as long as those of us who are running can make sure that we are being active, responding to the questions people ask, I think we have good answers to all those questions.
Representative, I have a quick question about D.C. right now. Is there work that you feel like is able to move forward while we have stuff happening in Iran, and we also have maybe a stalled Save America Act on the Senate side? Is there other things that you're working on right now?
Yeah, we're moving forward in the House on a lot of things. We're working on a lot of permitting reform. We're already working on the appropriations bills for next year. And there was one other thing I was going to say. Permitting reform, appropriations bills for next year. Oh, and healthcare. We just need the Senate to move on those other two and finish last year's appropriations for Homeland. They're debating that today. And get the Save America Act passed into the president's desk. We've got a whole list of things that we'd like to get done.
And so just really quickly in the last 30 seconds or so, your committees won't change. Your district is changing, but your I guess momentum and the things you're doing in D.C., those don't change depending on your district. Is that correct?
No, those don't change. And luckily for me, they're applicable to the entire district. So I may be new to some of these counties in the new 3rd district, but the issues they're facing are very similar to the issues that are facing other rural counties in other parts of the state. Or in Utah County, their growth issues are a lot like Washington County's growth issues. And I'm on committees that are responsive to those issues. And so it'll just be a matter of going out, introducing myself to people, listening to their concerns, and finding ways to address them.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Representative Celeste Malloy. And Inside Sources will also have an opportunity to speak with other candidates in that same race. So when we come back, we have an opportunity to just do a mention about a former Utah congressman who has passed away. That's Merrill Cook. And we'll have our facts of the day. Stay with us.
Hey guys, it's Hans Olsen here talking with Mint Medical Clinic about ED. Bailey, I've heard you guys have a unique approach to ED. Could you tell us more about that?
Yes, of course. The Trifecta is our most comprehensive treatment. It combines 3 therapies into one program: acoustic wave therapy for blood flow, GLP-1 peptide therapy for weight loss, and hormone therapy to rebalance the whole system. Most clinics treat just one piece of the puzzle. We treat the whole system simultaneously. That's how you get results that no single treatment can deliver on its own.
I know you've got an incredible offer for our listeners. Tell us what's going on.
We do, and this one is big. For our listeners, we're offering a completely free consultation plus a free blood flow ultrasound. That's a $650 value at no cost. On top of that, everyone who comes in gets a free intimacy kit to take home. And here's the kicker, is for the next 20 callers who sign up for a treatment program, we're throwing in a free 5-night luxury hotel stay in Hawaii. That's right, 5 nights in Hawaii on us. So don't wait on this one. Pick up the phone right now and call 801-804-8000. That's 801-804-8000.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Did you know your baby might need their first dental visit sooner than you think? Did you know your baby should visit the dentist after their first tooth appears or by their first birthday? Keep your family healthy. Your smile matters. Babies can get cavities as soon as they have teeth. Bad bacteria can be transferred to a baby's mouth through unwashed spoons or pacifiers. Pacifiers dipped in sugar or sweetened drinks can also cause cavities. Prevention begins by using a small, soft toothbrush and a little fluoride toothpaste. Grain of rice size ages 1 to 2 and a pea size ages 3 to 6. Practice with your baby before their first dental exam. A dental professional can give you the best advice to keep your baby healthy and smiling. If you don't have a dentist, visit YourSmileUtah.org for more information on community dental services. This message brought to you by Utah Oral Health Coalition, Utah Dental Association, University of Utah School of Dentistry, the Utah Department of Health and Human Services, and other Utah health partners. Remember, a healthy smile means a healthier life.
Your smile matters.
Business technology has changed a lot over the last 70 years, but one thing hasn't.
Les Olson is here.
As the years have passed, there's been one constant. And after 70 years and still counting, Les Olson IT is here with the technology and the people to make life easier, more productive, and more secure for your business. Let Les be here for you.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Based in Salt Lake City, RSG Performance helps leaders and teams excel under pressure. Using behavioral science, mindfulness, and performance strategies, they improve decision-making, collaboration, and overall effectiveness, guiding organizations to thrive. Here to share insights is co-founder Brad Manuel.
Most of us assume leadership is about having all the answers. But lately, we've been noticing something different. The leaders who are truly effective aren't rushing to fix everything. They're slowing down and paying attention to what's actually happening first. Noticing when a team feels tense instead of engaged. Noticing when reactions come from habit rather than intention. Noticing when busy quietly replaces effective. Here's a simple experiment for anyone listening today. Before your next meeting, pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself one question. What's the temperature in the room right now? Not the agenda, not the outcome, the human temperature. Because awareness changes behavior faster than motivation ever will. The best leaders don't always have to move first. Sometimes, the most powerful move is simply to slow down, pay attention, and see clearly. That moment of clarity can transform how the team thinks, feels, and performs.
To learn more about approaches like these and how they can transform your team, visit rsgperformance.com. Their tools and insights help leaders slow down, see clearly, and create engaging environments. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
And expanded Inside Sources.
We're still following the latest as police are responding to reports of an active shooter at a synagogue outside Detroit, where we can see on some of our displays smoke billowing from the roof. We heard from the Associated Press that a truck crashed into the Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan this morning. You can see a large police presence surrounding the areas. We have a little bit of news right now that we're going to listen to.
All right. Thank you so much. Stand by, Michael. We're going to come back to you again. We are following this breaking news of reports of an active shooter at a synagogue with a school in it. We are getting more information by the moment. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
All right. That was CNN. We're going to go to News Nation really quick.
Do we have Leslie?
Oh, can you guys hear me? Hi, sorry.
Hi, Leslie. Yes. So you were there at the scene. Kind of describe what's going on around you.
Well, I was driving home up Walnut Lake Road, which is on the road that Temple Israel is at. I saw a huge police presence. I had to pull my car over because you couldn't move from the police presence. And I'm literally not even a half a mile away from Temple Israel.
All right. So what are you seeing? What are you hearing there, Leslie?
You could see a little bit of smoke coming from the building, from the perimeter, and you could see just a massive police presence like you've never seen before.
And are police saying anything to you? Have you been communicated with at all?
I just heard that the shooter was dead. That they killed the shooter and that someone drove a car through the front door.
Okay, and where were you hearing that from, Leslie, since you are there right on the ground?
Just different people.
Okay.
That we're talking. They're pushing us back, and they're trying to get all the cars that are stuck turned around because there's such it's not a big road, so there's a lot of traffic. So it's a little traumatizing right now.
Oh, absolutely. And I know this is the suburbs of Detroit. Kind of describe the scene there. Describe what that area is like.
It's a big Jewish population. I'm Jewish myself, so and I was just heading home. A lot of people going on about their day, and it's a great community here. It's a beautiful community. I don't know what else to say at this point.
All right. We've been hearing from News Nation, and they were talking with somebody who was right there on the ground in Michigan. So we'll continue to follow that story at KSL News Radio. So Rusty Cannon, one of the people who was a fixture in Utah politics, is Merrill Cook. Yes. And he was a 2-term congressman in the 90s, and he ran for governor. He ran for a bunch of other offices, but he passed away last night at age 79.
Yeah, I remember Merrill Cook. I myself born in 1973. The 90s were, I remember those years well. And I do remember, I'm sure you'll explain, ran for several offices. I think he was elected to Congress.
Yeah,
correct?
He was.
Yeah.
He was elected to Congress. He served there. His son, David Cook, said his dad enjoyed participating in the political process and discussing topics with people who didn't always agree with him.
When I think about his life, what he and I too, and his family would both point to as his most amazing accomplishment was the devoted care that he gave to my mom for the 10 years when she was suffering with early onset Alzheimer's.
So his funeral will be held in July, and you asked me, is that a typo? It's not, but that's when the rest of the family can travel to the state. So at least the public memorial will be in July. So we lost a political figure, and we're coming up on an anniversary of losing Mia Love. That was last year on March 23rd. Yeah. So we're getting really close to that being a year since she passed away from brain cancer that she had. But as we end our show, I'd like to do some of the fun facts of the day. And even though there's somber news, right, there are also some fun facts. But I wondered if you had anything that you were following or saw in the news that made you go, that's interesting.
Like today in particular?
Today, yesterday.
Well, I think this is a lesson for all of us in geopolitics. I think what's going on in Iran, it's interesting as everybody talks about the price of oil and those kinds of things. You're learning, if you hadn't already known, about the Strait of Hormuz and why it's so important. Right. It's a small little sliver of water that you got to get through with a lot of oil. A choke point, and that intensity around that particular area is why we're having a spike in gas prices right now. So for me, that's just been a reminder of that, items around the world do matter, and they do hit home from time to time. So that struck me today.
I will say this, it is Mitt Romney's birthday today, so a happy birthday to former Senator, former Governor Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
And then today, on this day, so it's March 12th, it was in 1776. I thought this was super interesting, at least to me. So a public notice, this is in 1776, this is before the Declaration of Independence was signed. A public notice appeared in local newspapers with the colonies, of course, recognizing the sacrifice of women to the cause of the Revolution. And the notice urged other people to recognize women's contributions to the war.
Wow.
I know. Oh.
And when was that? That was
1776.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was on this day in 1806 that Jane Means Appleton Pierce was born. She became the 15th First Lady of the United States. And her story is so sad to me. So she did not like Washington, D.C. She left it. The Democratic Party pulled her back when they nominated her husband, Franklin Pierce, for president in 1852. So he ran against a Whig candidate, Winfield Scott. He won 254 electoral votes. And on the way to the inauguration, their last surviving son, Benjamin Pierce, died at the age of 11 in a train accident.
Oh, that's terrible.
Their first two sons had already passed away at the age of 3 days and the other one at 4 years. And she was this tragic figure. She's like, I hate politics. I don't want to do it. They pulled her back in, and their last surviving son died on the way to the White House.
That's sad.
So sad.
Yeah.
All right, a
Do you
little
have a
bit
brighter
happier.
piece of news?
Yes. So a little bit happier. On this day in 1912, Juliette Gordon Low led Girl Scouts for the first time in the United States.
Oh.
And then in 1933, FDR broadcast his first fireside chat during the Great Depression. So he was inaugurated, and then 8 days later did his first fireside chat on the radio. That was a big deal, right? He was talking to the American public, and that was a thing, a new thing.
Radios. I remember Ronald Reagan still doing radio addresses.
Right?
As a kid, it would have been the 1980s. I don't believe that happens anymore.
Well, we still call firesides gatherings when people get together. We talk them firesides. That came from FDR.
Oh.
And then our last fun fact for today, it was on this day in 2003 that Elizabeth Smart was found.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Okay, I remember that day.
Yeah.
So that was 2003 on this day.
So it's already been 26 years or 23 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, that one's interesting, and she's one, like we've been talking, of course, about the Savannah Guthrie's mom, her disappearance in Arizona, and Elizabeth Smart had a message for the family to just say, look, I understand, but don't give up hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
People didn't give up hope for me, and she was found. It was, I think, 9 months after she was taken. So on this day in 2003. So I mentioned it was Mitt Romney's birthday. I'm going to end with this quote from the senator. The American people are the greatest people in the world. What makes America the greatest nation in the world is the heart of the American people. Hardworking, innovative, risk-taking, God-loving, family-oriented American people.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. And thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Rusty Cannon.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it was great. When we come back, we're going to go to Midday with Heather Peterson today, and we're learning about an industrial fatality at Kennecott this morning. Heather will have more details for you on Midday coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time, 12 o'clock. This is Midday. I'm Heather Peterson in for Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour is breaking news. Police in West Bloomfield, Michigan are responding to an active shooter situation at a synagogue.
West Bloomfield Sheriff Michael Bouchard says security appears to have opened fire on a person who drove their car into the temple.
Nobody at the moment has been confirmed to be hurt, except potentially the shooter.
More from ABC's Aaron Katersky.
This is where the Michigan State Police say they responded to an active shooting incident that is ongoing. And the Michigan State Police says it is asking community members to stay away from the area to allow for police response. State troopers in Michigan are also increasing patrols at other places of worship.
FBI Director Kash Patel posting on social media saying that personnel are on the scene. It comes amid heightened tensions and alerts from law enforcement agencies across the country, now 2 weeks into the conflict in Iran.
That's ABC's Mike Dubusky. We will continue to update you as soon as we learn more about the situation. And developing news here in Utah. A man was killed in what officials are calling an industrial fatality at Kennecott this morning. This was at the Bingham Canyon mine. There's very little we know at this moment, but Unified Fire told us earlier that a patient had to be flown by helicopter to the hospital. 2 people are now trying to figure out what comes next after a car plowed into their home in West Valley City this morning. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
A small hatchback